Awesome.
Awesome.
Okay, I would like to read Coach Brenda's profile. He's fondly called Coach B, a dynamic life coach, a trainer, and a wealth manager that is committed to transforming lives through development, financial empowerment, and emotional healing. He has a career that spans over a decade and has built a solid reputation for helping individuals unlock their full potential, gain financial clarity, and live authentically. She is a certified master practitioner of neuro linguistic programming, healing coach, result coach, and performance consultant. Coach Brenda specializes in equipping individuals with the tools they need to shift their mindsets, break through limitations, and achieve tangible success in life and business. Our areas of expertise include personal development training, identity, purpose, and emotional healing, financial planning and wealth management, corporate and leadership training, and of course, public speaking. She is a convener of conversations with Brenda that leads a transformative discussion that inspires growth and personal breakthrough. She is an industry leader with a deep approach to engaging result driven and transformational coaching. And this makes her a sought after speaker for your training, for individuals, for organizations, and for faith based groups. Such a fantastic profile. Sometimes when I read profiles like this, I ask myself, so what exactly are you doing, Chima? What exactly have you been doing? Maybe Coach Brenda will help me so I can be like her. Welcome back. Good morning.
You're far too kind, Chima. Hi, good morning. How are you doing
Good morning.
today?
I'm doing well. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Yes, yes, you have the floor, ma.
All right. Thank you for that very warm introduction. And thank you to everybody that has joined in. I'm seeing we have about 11 participants. So thank you to all 11 of you that have joined in so early. But I hope that we can still drag more people in and get more people to join this call because I'm excited about what I'm about to talk about. And for me, that's usually a very good sign when I'm excited about something. So please remember to invite somebody else, nudge somebody on your WhatsApp group or anywhere you have people and just have them join, send them the link. Now I'm beginning to sound like a pastor, but please share the link, and let's get more people in. So this morning, let me share my screen so that we can get started. Oh, sharing is not turned on. Okay, let me send a request to Chima. If you're there, I've sent a request to share my screen.
Yes, yes, please, you can now. You can.
Okay, okay, all right,
Yes, try
all
it
right.
again, please.
Yes, yes, I can see that I can.
Okay.
All right. How would this work? Just a minute while I try to figure this thing out. But I'm sure you can already see on your screen what we're going to be talking about this morning. And it is titled Strategies. Just a minute. I'm trying to figure out. Okay, great. All right, so we're going to be talking about strategies, and I know that we have people from different walks of life on this call. If you can just kindly indulge me, just let me know what exactly you do. Just one word, entrepreneur into whatever, founder, just put it there. Let me see the people that I'm speaking with, because I'm usually very mindful of my audience, to know exactly what would appeal to them. So please, if you can drop it in the chat room, that will also let me know that you did not just log into the call and then walk away from your screen. It would also let me know that you are right here with me. So please, in the chat room, let me know what you do. Okay. Ramatu says, joining from Kaduna. I'm an entrepreneur. Fantastic. Anybody else? Thank you, Ramat. Thank you so much. Anybody else? Anybody else? Anybody else? What do you do? And where are you joining in from and what do you do? Sorry, Chima, how many minutes do I have so that I don't get carried away?
45 minutes, ma, inclusive
Oh,
of
45 minutes. Inclusive of what? Questions and answers. Fantastic. Okay. Usman Mukhtar says, employee pension administrator. Oh, and I'm joining in from Abuja. Thank you so much, sir, for joining in. Fadeke says, I do operations. Adefunke says, from Abuja. I'm a fashion entrepreneur. Joining in from Abuja, I'm an optometrist. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Dr. Bucci. Thank you so much, everyone. Public servants, fantastic. So you can see that we have a very diverse audience this morning. So I'm going to make sure that this conversation is relevant to everybody. Now, just one simple ground rule. I always believe that when you come to meetings like this, just to show yourself that you are ready to learn something, you're taking it seriously. I always believe you should have a notepad, right? A biro, and then a bottle of water. That's what I think, right? So if you just log in and then you're doing other things, you might not be able to get exactly what you want to get out of this meeting. But let's get started. So we're talking strategies today. And this is what today's class is not. It is not a business strategy meeting. We're not doing social media strategy. We're not doing marketing strategy class. We're not having a sales strategy class. However, this class will help you with your business, with your social media marketing, with your sales strategy, and all of those things, right? However, what we're doing today is a life strategy class, a life strategy class. And just stay with me, it will begin to make sense as we go along. So, what exactly is strategy? When I'm talking about strategy, what am I really talking about? It is a sequence of internal and external processes that occur in your mind and body that consistently produce a particular result, right? A sequence of processes that produces a particular result. It can also be described as a specific pattern of thoughts, and behaviors that lead to a predictable and replicable outcome. So there are things you do over and over and over again, and then it leads you somewhere. So you can almost predict, if I do it this way, do it this way, do it this way, then I'm going to get this result. Now, there's a strategy that guides how to bake a cake, for instance, right? There are steps that you take if you're baking a cake, if you're a baker, there are certain steps you will tell. So if I come to you to say, oh, I need to learn how to bake a cake, you tell me to do this, you tell me to do that. So if in baking a cake, I decide to add the egg after I brought out the cake from the oven, I'll get a different result, right? So it's going to take me following the steps to be able to get a particular result. Now, there are strategies for every action. There's a strategy for how you do anger. There's a strategy for how you always show up late. There's a strategy for how you fall in love. There's a strategy for how you make your decisions. There's a strategy for how you do depression. Yes, right? There's also a strategy for how you parent, how you complete your projects, how you create chaos or you cope with chaos. There is a strategy, there is a pattern that you are following that is giving you this exact result over and over again. So there are strategies for every action. And all strategies are effective, right? So it's not a matter of, oh, this is not an effective strategy. It's always effective. But the question that you would ask is it giving me the results that I desire? Is this result empowering or is it disempowering? That is where the question mark is. So, as a matter of fact, I'm not here today to say this is right or this is wrong. It's not a question of what is right or what is wrong, or what is working and what is not working. It's a question of, is it giving you the results that you desire? So some strategies are recipes for success. You follow them, you're successful. Others, recipe for failure. You follow them, failure is at the end of it. So you cannot use a strategy for failure and expect success, and then you are confused at the end of the day, or you are surprised by your results. No, there is a strategy, there is a pattern that you follow, and it gives you a predictable result. All right. So I'll speak on some setting strategies. So there's motivation strategy. Some of the strategies I'll be talking about will be, there'll be decision making strategy. We'll talk about love strategies, just a few things. So please stay with me. The reason I'm saying this is that it's going to be relevant to you from wherever you are, right? It's something that will be relevant to you depending on what you do. So let's start with the first one, which is the motivation strategy, right? I'm sure a lot of us may have heard this before, that there are two types of motivation. There is the towards motivation, and then there is the away from motivation. Now I'm talking about motivation strategies. So for those of us that are always confused as to why am I not motivated enough? So there are people who feel that they don't have enough zeal, they don't have enough motivation. You have been saying you want to start something for the past 2 years and you've been unable to start it. This is where I want you to take a look at this, right? So there's a toward motivation. Towards motivation means that you are being moved towards a goal, right? So for instance, let's say you want to lose weight. You have a picture of what you want to look like in the next 6 months. You are working towards it. That's a towards motivation. Or you have a dream of, say, relocating out of Nigeria, right? In the next 1 year. You are taking steps towards that motivation. So you have a picture of the country you want to go to, what you want to be doing there. And so everything you do is going to be pushing you towards that picture. That's a towards motivation. Now, the upside of it is that it tends to produce consistent results. So you know that, oh, if I'm going to do this, I have to maybe register for IELTS. I need to get my transcript. I need to write my cover letter, whatever, all of those steps. So you already know because you are working towards a particular goal. So it tends to produce consistent results, right? Now, the downside of it is that sometimes we are unwilling to do the necessary and unpleasant tasks required to reach the goal. What does that mean? Some of us, our motivation or our goal is so big, right, that we now become, we now are unable to take the steps towards it. So you have this very beautiful goal. You want to become president of the United States, after the order of Barack Obama. And you're excited about it. But then you run for Senate in Nigeria and you just realize that maybe politics is not even your thing. And so you lose motivation for that big dream, right? So that's a downside of, when you have a towards motivation. Please stay with me so that we can think through the things that we've been doing over time. Now, the away from motivation strategy simply means that you are moving forward because you're trying to run away from something. For example, you go to the doctor and the doctor tells you that, oh, you're obese. And if you continue on this trajectory, you have just 3 months to live. If you want to extend your life, make sure that you exercise. You see, the first person is exercising, they have a goal. You are exercising not because you want to have a shape or anything. It's because you are trying to run away from something. You're trying to avoid death. So away from motivation is that this thing, I don't want it to catch up with me. So I need to run, right? Now, the upside of that is that it can be a very strong initial impetus for you to take action. So it's like something that shakes you up, right? And you're like, oh my God, if I don't do this now, this is going to happen. So you pick up and then you run. The downside of this away from motivation is that it waits to take action until things get bad enough. So you have been going to the hospital, you have been checking your BMI, you have been checking your BP, you have been seeing that it's not good, but it's not that bad yet, right? So you've stayed with it for a while, you've stayed with it for a long time until you get to that point. So the people who are motivated by the away from motivation strategy are likely to get into a bad situation first before they start to run. And then it is difficult to continue to stay motivated once your goal is achieved. So what does that mean? Once you you do the work, do the work, do the work, do the work, and then the doctor says, oh, okay, now you're out of that danger zone. You tend to just relapse. Why? Because there is nothing that you're working towards. There is nothing that is in front of you that you're trying to achieve. Please let me know if this is making any sense to you so far. When I like to interact when I'm, but okay, how do I even see your chats? Okay, but do let me know, let me know, let me know, let me know, let me know. Let me stop because I can keep talking and I will not know that I have lost some people. So if this is making sense, please let me know in the chat room. Okay, thank you. Olufunke Giwa says makes lots of sense. All right. All right, all right, all right. Ramatu, thank you. Say sure it does. Yes. So your strategy is very, very, very important. It shows you how you show up. Sorry, I'm sweating this much. We're in Nigeria, so we understand it. All right, so let's go to decision-making strategies. Now, I'm excited about this because I know a lot of people are at a level or in a place in their lives where they're trying to make certain decisions and they feel stuck, right? So this is just a few pointers. I hope it helps somebody here this morning. Just a few pointers, right? So typical problems people face. The first is that you don't have enough options with which to create, no, not enough options which create duality of thinking, right? So you are stuck between either or. Should I take this job or should I take this job, right? So you have two offers. Should I go for this or should I go for this? So you're in an either or situation. And what that happens is that when that happens, it tends to put you in a loop, right? And you forget that you can actually create more options. So it's almost like I don't really like this one, no, but I don't know this one's too. But let me just choose between these two. So you lock yourself in as though that is all that there is on the offer on the table. Whereas you can actually go out of these two options and create more options for yourself that will be better suited to you. So if you're in an either or situation, this or this, and you know deep down in your heart that these two options, either of them, you are not very comfortable with them, please generate more options. Create more options for yourself, right? Oh, should I marry this person? Should I marry this one? There are two of them. I don't really like this one. I don't really like this one like that, Sha, but this one is better than this one. So maybe I should go with this one. Whereas, I mean, go out more and you might be able to, you just might be, able to meet somebody else that you are more suited to. Now, for some other people, the challenge is that you have too many options. So what you do is you stay in that place where you are just generating options, and then it's leading you to confusion. Now, stay with me. The first person is stuck in A or B. This one is doing A, B, C, D. Let me add E. Let me add F. Let me add G. And what of H? And at the end of the day, what that leads to is what? A lot of confusion. A lot of confusion because the options are too many. What do you need to do in this situation? And I'm talking to business people. I'm talking to, maybe you are recruiting for a role, in your organization and all of that. This can be applied across board. Look at your options. If your options are too many, then it's time to begin to eliminate some options to bring it down to the best options, and then you commit to taking action. So never stay in that place where you are just trying to get more options, but you're never taking a decision. So you must trickle it down to a few and then take a decision as soon as possible. Another thing that people face, right, is a lack of adequate information. It leads to pressure to make decisions based on a limited scope. So you don't even have enough information as to what the requirements of what it is you want to do, right? So for instance, let's take the trying to take a job example that we gave. You don't even know enough about this company. You have not asked questions. You've not tried to even say, oh, what's the culture there? Oh, what's the what's the team spirit in that organization, or who am I reporting to, what's the organogram like. You don't know any of those things. You have maybe just one perspective, the salary, and you're under so much pressure to make a decision based on just the fact that they are going to pay you well, but you have not opened your mind to see the full scope of those things, that this is this, this is this, this is this, that will lead you to make a more informed decision. So what you need to do in this case is research to get more information that would lead you to clarity. So what you need to do is, what is important to me? Yes, I want higher pay, but I also know that I don't do well with stress, or I don't do well with too much, whatever it is, list it out. Then get information as regards these parameters, so that you can have enough information to even know, the decision you're about to make. For some people, you get a job offer that looks really good, you can't resist it, but you need to go and ask the staff of that organization, how do things happen here? What are you people doing? Try to understand what the culture is. Is it an organization where people can stay for years? Who's the oldest serving member in this organization? Things like that would help you make a better decision. I need to run. Now, options do not apply to given situations. So there are times when we begin to look for options that are not even best suited to us. So I'll give you an example. You hear people talk about, oh, if you go to so and so country, this is how things are done there. If you go to, this place, this is how things are done there. But this is Nigeria, right? So why are we using, of course, you can always learn, right? You can learn from others, but you also need to understand the uniqueness of your own position. So instead of looking at another person, or looking at how this other person made their own decision, it might not suit you because those parameters do not apply to you. So what you do, focus on the parameters of the given situation. So get the things that apply to you. It's not about anybody else. It's not about how another country, they are doing it and all of that. Meanwhile, you are in an organization or in a country where things work differently. So you must be able to look for parameters that are best suited to your own situation. And then the criteria is not prioritized, leading to confusion. So a lot of times we have options, we understand we have the full scope, but everything is just everywhere. We don't know what is most important to us. We don't know what is the thing that we should look out for, the first thing we need to look out for. So we're just picking here and there, and it leads to confusion. So what do you need to do? List out your options. What are the advantages of this option? What are the disadvantages? And then you want to prioritize them. This advantage, how much does it mean to me, right? This advantage, how relevant is it to me? So if, for instance, you're trying to make a decision as to what neighborhood to live in, right? And you look at it and say, oh, the roads are very accessible. Oh, there's a good road network. The light situation is good, and all of that. You need to now begin to ask yourself, if you are somebody who you still need to take transport, like you need to use keke, and you are going to, because you don't have a car, and you're going to a neighborhood where keke napep is not allowed. Do you understand? So the parameters need to align to you, and then you must understand what your options are and define what the advantages and disadvantages are. I don't know if I'm making any sense this morning. Okay. So I want to pause. We're going to talk about more strategies, but I want to teach something that would help us understand the next strategies that we're going to be talking about. And it's something called representational systems in NLP. Representational systems. What does that mean? You have the V, which talks about the visual. So it's almost like the senses, right? The V talks about the visual, so pictures and all that. You have A, which is auditory, talks about sound. You have K, kinesthetic, feelings. O, the olfactory. G, the gustatory, and then the auditory digital, which is the AD. Right? Now, what does this mean? There are people here who are more visual than auditory. I'll give you an example. Things appeal to you first. What you see appeals to you first, rather than what you hear. There are other people who it is what you hear that it's the hearing. Words mean a lot to them, sounds. So they like loud music. They want to hear, and all of that because it appeals to their sense of hearing. For others, it's kinesthetic, feelings. Feelings. They want to feel. And how do you know? Sometimes just by listening to people, you know which representational system works for them. You hear people say, I don't see the points in this, or I don't see the points you're trying to make. That's a visual person. The person he needs to see. So whatever you are saying needs to paint a picture. So they say, I don't see how that matters. I don't see what's that's a very visual person. Or you hear somebody say, it doesn't even sound right. Right? This thing you are saying it doesn't sound right. What does that mean? The person is filtering it through what they hear. So it's not about what they see, it's what they are hearing. Or some people like this thing does not feel good. Doesn't feel good. I don't feel like you're taking me seriously. I don't feel like this thing means anything to you. Feelings. That's somebody who is very kinesthetic in nature. Then, of course, there is the sense of smell, right? Some people just can fall in love just by the scent of your perfume, right? Because that's how they, what's the word? That's how they perceive things. So that you perceive, that's a word, right? Perceive, I perceive that olfactory. Some people, it's the taste, right? So there are people who cannot order food online because they need to taste what they want to buy. So they can't buy on Glovo. And that's what the Aboki uses for you. So he gives you suya to taste. He's appealing towards that sense of taste. Like, oh, madam, take this one. So that when you taste it, like, okay, give me 100K suya, right? And then there are people who are auditory digital, right? I think I'm under this as well because I have I have a newsletter I send out to my community every Sunday that is titled Voices in My Head. So what does auditory digital mean? Internal dialogue, the conversations you have with yourself. So I could have a full conversation with Chima and now forget to actually have the conversation with him because I had it in my head first. So internal dialogue, those people that you talk to yourself, you create the scenario, you say what the other person is going to say, you imagine what the person will say to you. And so all of those internal dialogues mean that you're an auditory digital person. Now, it doesn't mean that it's only one that appeals to you. For instance, I'm also a visual person, right? But I know that my strong point is the auditory digital and the visual, right? For some people, it's going to be a combination of auditory, kinesthetic, whatever. So in the chat box, let me know what you think you are, just based off of how you see yourself. Let me know in the chat room. Let me go to the chats to see. Right? Let me go to the chats. Okay. Margaret says, makes a lot of sense. Thanks for the kiss, Margaret. Jojo Fine says, this job example is so important in decision making. Thank you, Coach B. Thank you, Jojo. So based on what I've said so far, I want to see in the chat box your representational system. Which do you think appeals the most to you? Do you think you're a visual person, so you pictures appeal a lot to you? Do you think you're auditory? Do you think you're kinesthetic? Do you think you're somebody who is olfactory? Am I the only person in this class? I can't see any chats. Have I been talking to myself? I won't go ahead until I get a response. I would not go ahead until I get a response. Somebody says no. What is Ramatu? What is no? I'm asking, which one do you think you are? Do you think you are visual? Patient says we're digesting and analyzing. Okay, but let me know. Don't over digest it. Let me know. What do you think? I like to see, then touch, feel, and taste. Only you. Okay, so touch and feel it tells me that you're kinesthetic. Taste gustatory, but this is you thinking in terms of food, right? Then you ask if you've been talking to yourself. Oh, thank you, Ramatu. Okay. Somebody says I'm AD. Fantastic. Fantastic. Auditory visual. Fantastic. Fantastic. So for people who are AD, okay, I think I'll talk more on it as I go along. All right. Let me go back to my slides. Okay. Um, so have that in mind, right? Have what we just talked about. This have it in mind as we talk about the other strategies that we're going to talk about, right? Because this is important, right? So just have this in mind: the visual, the auditory, the kinesthetic, olfactory, gustatory, auditory, digital. Have it in mind as we talk about this next strategy. Now, strategy fulfillment in sales and leadership. It says that the failure of most salespeople is trying to sell products or services using your own strategy, the salesperson strategy, rather than the customers, right? So for you, you want to sell based on what you are comfortable with, right? And you're not paying attention to the customer strategy, right? So to discover your customer strategy making decision making strategy, just ask them. So how do you do that? Let's say you somebody comes into your store to buy, I don't know, a watch, whatever. You can say to them that, oh, that's a really nice car. How did you decide to buy this car? And pay attention. So you hear the person say, oh, and when I went to the car, so immediately I saw the car, I just knew that this was the car I wanted. What's that person telling you? I'm a visual person. So it has to look good to me. So the look of this thing is the most important thing to me. When I saw that car, I just knew I needed to buy it, right? Somebody else will tell you that immediately I entered that car and I drove it, the test drive of that car. Oh my God. What does that mean? That tells you that the person is what? Kinesthetic. I want to feel it. I felt how, I just entered, the way the car felt to me, it was just good, right? Somebody else might tell you that almost the sound of the engine, when I heard that, is it V8 they call it, or V6 or whatever, that engine sound. So you need to pay attention. Some people, so I'll give you an example. I can buy things online, right? Again, I told you I can buy things online. And let me tell you how my buying strategy is. If I want to buy a dress online, two things. When I see the dress, I like it. Visual. AD, I look at the dress and say, will my stomach show in this dress? It will not show. Internal dialogue is happening, right? This dress will cover my stomach. I'm ready to buy. Somebody else can never buy online because why? They want to feel the texture of the dress. They want to feel, wear it and experience how that dress is going to make them feel. That's their strategy, kinesthetic. So you need to have conversations with your clients, conversations with the person you are trying to sell to. It doesn't have to be that, oh, you're not carrying a textbook to say, what is your buying strategy? No, you're just having a conversation. Oh, that's a very nice tie you have on, sir. How did you decide to buy this tie? And the guy says, oh, I saw it online. I liked the color, so I just got it. That tells you that this person wants to see. So it has to be visually appealing. Do you know that there are companies that run two adverts at once? So let's say you can see like two Coca-Cola adverts running at the same time. And you're wondering, why do they have two different ads, running at the same time? So one minute there's this advert on Coca-Cola, the next minute there's another advert, because they understand the psychology of the buyer. For some, one advert is going to be very visual, fine pictures, all of those things that will draw you in. But another ad may be more detailed, telling you that the components of this, it is made up of this and this and this. Who are they selling to? The person who is auditory digital, who wants to be convinced, wants to have the facts, wants to understand it, to answer whatever internal dialogue may be happening in order to convince that person to buy. So as a salesperson, as an entrepreneur, as whatever it is that you do, try to have conversations with your clients, with your customers. Try to understand what their strategy is. For some people, it starts with visual and then it moves to auditory, right? And then they decide to buy. For somebody else, it can start as visual, but then kinesthetic. So they see it, but they want to touch it, right? For another person, so there are different buying strategies around that circle. So you need to understand what the mentality of your buyer is and try to make sure that you fulfill that person's mentality so that you can make a sale. Now you have to, once you understand that, once you are able to understand your client's buying mentality and you fix yourself into it, it's easier for you to make a sale than when you're just doing what you know or what you feel is your own strategy. If you're selling out your own strategy, you will sell to people who have the same strategy as you, but then you struggle with people who have an outside. So there are people who they would ask you questions. They want to buy from you, but they're asking you so many questions. Sometimes you are frustrated and you're saying, why is this person stressing me? If you want to buy, just buy. No, that's a person who is having an internal dialogue. So they need as much information as they can get before they make that decision to buy. Somebody else will just look at it and say, oh, yeah, send to me, send to me. And you think that those customers are easy. No, it's because it's their buying strategy. So you need to feed into that. So those of you that say, oh, WhatsApp, we're posting on WhatsApp, you are appealing to the visuals, the people who are visual. So they'll just look through your WhatsApp status and say, oh, I want this one, I want this one, I want this one. But somebody else wants to see the behind the scene. I think there's somebody who says she's a fashion designer. The person wants to see the making of the cloth. So when you see a Vicky James, for instance, saying, oh, let me walk you through how we were able to, she's appealing to a certain set of people. The people who want to understand deeper how you were able to get to where you are, right? So those people, somebody doesn't really care. They don't want to see the making of the dress or anything. They can, once the dress is fine, they want to buy it. It's somebody, it takes that making of the dress, that behind the scene video, for them to decide that, okay, I'm going to reach out to this person to make something similar to me, right? Let me run. So for leadership as well, right? You need to understand your employees' psychology, right? For staying motivated. So there's a strategy for each individual. And if you are trying to use strategy A for Mr. B, you might begin to have challenges. So how do you discover your workers' motivation strategy? You can ask them, when was the last time you felt really motivated? Have a meeting with your staff. When was the last time you felt really, really motivated on this job? How did you get there? You know, just conversational. How did you get there? What made you feel that way? And they start telling, people like to talk. People like to talk about themselves. So when you allow yourself to listen to those people, you are getting things from them that they don't know that they are giving out to you. Does that make any sense? All right, let me roll. So there's the love strategy. And I'm going to do this because I know that there are some people in this place that this is going to appeal to, right? Think of the five, what's it called? The five love languages, right? Something like this. This is somewhat similar to that, right? So unfulfilled love strategies are the reasons many relationships fail. So you need to find out what your partner's representational system is, right? And express love to them in their own system, not in yours. So again, like I said, think of the five love languages, but in this case, you pay attention to whether they are a visual, kinesthetic, or auditory, or even auditory digital, right? So for some people, just seeing you, right? Just you being in their space, just doing things that are beautiful to them, it's a love language. Another person is going to tell you, I don't feel you're treating me right in this relationship. I don't feel like, I'm all of those things. Pay attention. Again, pay attention to how they express themselves. It gives you a pointer as to what is important to them. So for a person who, for instance, is AD, that needs to hear over and over again that, oh, you are important to me. I'm happy to be in this relationship with you, and all that and all that. If all you are doing to them is, sending flowers and all, trying to create an experience is good for someone who is an experience is good for someone who is kinesthetic. That feeling, the feel of it is good for someone who's kinesthetic, but it might not be fulfilling the love strategy of someone who is auditory digital, right? Somebody else just wants to hear. They want to hear you say I love you a million times in a day. Oh, sorry, my PC is running low. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I think I need to run. My system is going down, right? So you need to be able to understand whether they're a V, a K, or an A. So some of the typical problems we have is that neither partner is conscious of how they themselves want to be loved. So you don't even know how you want to be loved. That's a problem, right? So you need to find out what appeals to me. Is it auditory? So I'm not saying it has to be one and then no other. No, but there has to be one that is most prevalent in your own, in how you experience love, right? Another partner is aware, but does not believe that they need to communicate it. So you just feel that this other person should know. You're not telling them that this is how I want to, or this is how I know to receive love. You just assume that they need to know. No, you need to communicate it. Now both partners are aware and have communicated it, but keep falling back to their own strategy because again, it takes practice, 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 practice. Your strategy is what you are used to. Learning another person's strategy is even an act of love in itself, and you need to keep learning it over and over again. And then one partner's preferred way of receiving love is not the other partner's preferred way. So there's a clash, or it's not the other partner's way of giving it, right? So the way you express is to give. You give flowers, you do this, let's go for vacations and all that. That's how you know to give. However, that's not how that person wants to receive. So you need to be able to decide on that, right? So the keys to fulfilling love strategies. I'm sorry, my battery is down, so I'm rushing through it. You need to be aware that everybody has a love strategy and it's not necessarily the same as yours. It could be, but most times it's not. So you want to elicit the other person's strategy. And what does that mean? You want to find out what's your strategy. And how do you do that? Is by asking questions. How do you know when you feel loved? How do you really know that you feel loved? Do you understand? Can you remember a time when you felt totally loved? Walk me through it. What happened? How did it happen? Listen. The answers are usually in what they're saying.
Coach Brenda, are you there, ma? Oh, I think her network or her laptop has gone down and has thrown her off. Can anyone hear me or can you hear Coach Brenda? Just want to make sure that we can hear ourselves. Okay, she's back. Hello, Coach B. Can you hear me, ma? Coach Brenda, are you there? Can you hear me? Okay,
I'm
yeah.
sorry, my system just went off.
No
I am so
problem, ma. No problem. No
Yes,
problem,
but
ma.
I was rounding up because I wanted to round up on the love notes, right? So your love
Yes.
strategy has to be that. Yes, so let me just round up that your love strategy has to be that you understand the other person's love language and you know exactly how to meet them, where they are. So those strategies help you. The kinesthetic, the auditory digital, all of those things. You need to first and foremost know it for yourself and then understand how it works for other people. So for your partners, whether your business partner, whether somebody that you're trying to work something else with, because some of us have had opportunities to have business partnerships that didn't go through because we just did not understand. We were not hearing ourselves. We didn't understand what was important to the other person, and then we felt as, oh, this doesn't work or this cannot work. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm so sorry, but this is all I have for you today on strategies. Let me know if it made any sense to you.
Wow, 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 wow. Thank you so much, Mal. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. You can see the emojis, you can just see the emojis. Maybe it's because of that love part that I started touching. He started touching that love part. And as you're touching it, everybody started getting, you know, see the whole love emojis are all over the place because of that love part you just touching. Wow. That's another strategy. Oh, I have that strategy. So next time I'm doing session. If I want to have more emojis, I'll just do everything towards the ending. I'll start hitting it, connect it to love, 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 love. The room will now be fire. Wow, this is strategy.
Thank,
Okay.
thank
Wonderful,
you.
wonderful. Thank you so much, ma. Um, Let me go to the comment section. Emmanuel says, I love it. Okay, I love love, of course. You see, you are touching the love part. Everybody started, there's something about love that makes the ear will just
So
want to hear it. Even the people
yeah,
that pretend that I'm not into love, and once they start hearing the love, love, love part, they'll just be drawing close, even though they don't want to show it. But we all need love. Well done,
yeah.
Ma. Well done, Ma. Thank you very much. I don't know if you have any question for her. This would be a good time to do that. Um, do you have a question? Probably on any part that she has touched on, whether it's the business part, the personal part, the emotional part, the relational part. This would be a good time to ask your question, probably the next 5 minutes. I see a lot of emojis and a lot of people believe that this can be. Okay, so Hajira Mati has a question in the chat, man. She says she's a dry cleaner and sometimes her customers want to see her showroom and have a look at her factory to give them an idea of who is handling their fabric. Does this make sense? That's her question, ma.
Oh, absolutely. So that's a lot of those customers are AD customers. So those are the people that want to understand the logic behind things. They want to understand how does it work. So they have questions in their heads, right? They're having internal dialogue. If I give these people my shirts now, only God knows the kind of water they even use, or only God knows this. So they're having a lot of internal dialogue that needs to. So they need to see. They need to understand how it works. That's why I told you that you see a Vicky James telling you that, oh, let me walk you through, the making of this dress. She's speaking to an audience. She understands that there are people who, even if her clothes come out well and everything, they want to see what material is she using. Do you understand? They have questions that need to be answered. So yes, there are people who are like that. It does make sense. So like I said, it might be stressful, but it does make sense because that's what appeals to them and that's what helps them know whether they want to patronize you or not. So it feels like the visual person is more, it's easier to please because they just do good visuals and that's it. But then again, you need to also be very, what's the word? You need to be very particular about the kind of visuals you bring. So I'll give you an example. So I've had Nigeria has happened to me in the last 24 hours, with the transformer and everything. So even with my slides, usually I would put a lot of pictures. Why? Because I need to appeal to a set of people. There are people who they get bored just seeing writings. I'm that person as well, right? I'm that person. So if you are showing me a slide and it's just write off, I'm like, okay, right? But when I see pictures and see this, I'm excited about it. Why? Because I'm also a visual person, right? So those things matter. Those things matter. They do. They do. I hope that answers her question.
Hachi, I hope that answers the question, ma. Does it? Okay, I believe it does. So that also means that sometimes the people we call difficult customers may actually be
Mm-hmm.
the fact that we've not understood their best way of interacting with our product. So
Absolutely.
they always want to come around and see your space. It's not like they've not bought from you the first time, but there's that part of them that be like, I just want to come around and see their space. I just want to come around and see their space. They are not saying I don't trust you. They are not saying I
Mm-hmm.
don't trust that you guys are not competent, but this is their way of connecting to your product or your service. They just want to walk around, see it, you know.
Yeah.
They are like the showroom people. And sometimes too, could it be true that sometimes in doing that, they want to like take pictures, take selfies. I don't know. Does
So
that also, yes.
yes, let me explain this. So for instance, I use the car analogy, right? So you go to a car shop and somebody just sees a car and says, "Oh, I want it." Do you know that there are people who would only buy when you tell them that, "Oh, okay, so this car, is it doesn't consume a lot of fuel. The car, you only need to do this and do. You need to tell them about the components of the car." So they are not people who are easily, taken by just the beauty. Some people,
Hmm.
the beauty is enough. They will find out about the others later. But it is the beauty that is the first thing on their list. And understand what I said again. It's not always just one thing, right? That's why they say there's a buying, there's a circle of your buying. It can start out visual, right? And then go to kinesthetic. So those are the people who they want to see, they want to feel, right? So the person who is taking a selfie and all of that is trying to get a certain type of feeling, like, oh my God, I love this place, experience. So they have moved from visual, they're now fulfilling the kinesthetic aspect, which is like, oh, what's the experience of this place like? I'll give you an example. When I'm planning my conferences, right? In a day before the conference, I send an email out. What do? I create a picture. I can't wait for the number of hugs, for us to take pictures. I can almost hear the sound of the applause. I can do this. So I use all the representational systems. So I'm creating pictures. I'm talking about the sound of the applause. I'm talking about the hugs and how it's going to feel. What am I doing? I'm trying to appeal to all of these different sets of people. So for somebody, it is just the fact that there's going to be a lot of laughter in the room, right? The sound of laughter. The person says, oh, I want to be in that space. Or somebody else says, oh, the hugs. The person says, oh my God, I want to be in that space. It's going to feel good, right? For some people, I'm saying the information. Can you hear me? Yeah. For some other people, I'm saying the information.
Money that I will make.
Yeah, the information that is going to be given out in this conference, that is what they are there for, right? So you need to be able to appeal across board. So don't just stop at saying, oh, this place is a very beautiful space. I want you to come and experience it. You have limited your selling to just the people who are interested in visuals and experiences, right? You need to tell them that, oh, there's music in the background. There is this thing, auditory people, right? So this is how you walk through that circle, and then you make sure that you are able to appeal to your buyers, especially when you are trying to appeal to a large audience. So it's not like a one-on-one thing. If it's a one-on-one thing, you elicit the person's buying strategy. Oh, how did you decide to buy this? You understand it and you sell to them in that format. But if you're talking to a large group of people, try to fulfill all of these things. Make sure that you're talking about the sound, you're talking about the visuals, you're talking about the feeling, you're talking about the smell of the place. There are people who walk into an office and just the smell of, it appeals to them, makes them feel at home. Exactly. So you have to inculcate all of these things, to be able to draw a larger audience or a larger number of people to yourself. Yes.
Such a profound insight. And so this speaks to the idea that walk-ins, taster parties, listening parties, some call it open days, are important components of marketing strategies. It's not an afterthought. It's something you have to factor. You have to create budgets for it. The way you are creating budget for your ads, you are creating budget for your billboard or for your flyers. You also have to create budget for walking. If I walk into your space,
for
yes,
radio
if I walk, yes,
right?
yes, yes.
Yes.
If I walk into your space, do I get to feel the music, the ambience? Do I get to touch something? Am I going away with a souvenir? Some organizations could be like, this week is our open day, open week. Come in, talk to our people, talk to our representatives. You can spin, and get a lottery. Those are some of the things. Spin and win just that week. We open our doors. Don't buy anything from us. Just come in, just spin. So more of making it possible for you to expand your pool. They may not actually be your customers already immediately, but that increases goodwill, which also increases the chances that they, with the word of mouth, talk more about you. As they are coming in, they're taking the pictures, they're tagging. So you see that ripple effect, it connects to everything we're talking about. The kinesthetics connect to the auditory connects to the visual connects to, so there's that connection, so that you're not stuck with just one strategy for appealing customers. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Strategy is important. Wow. Thank you so much, Coach B. It has been a wonderful session. So how do we contact Coach B? just in case I want to have a session with her, I want to take it up from here. How do we reach you? How do we reach you, ma?
Okay, so I'm on Instagram as Brenda.Egwakhide. That is going to be a bit difficult spell for some people. So let me write it in the chat room. I can also drop my number. I'm happy to have WhatsApp, not calls. You can send me a message on WhatsApp and you can schedule a session. So I just dropped it in the chat room. Can you see it?
Yes, we can.
All right,
Okay,
thank
so
you.
that's our contact. Please do well to reach out to her for your session, for your strategies. You found out that strategy is key. You really cannot, whatever you are doing is a strategy. Some are conscious, some are unconscious. The question we're asking ourselves this morning is how intentional are we about our strategy? And of course, the
Yeah,
part that taught on love drew out a lot of us. So even in the love part, how was our strategy for it? What's our strategy for it? When we wake up in the morning, what's the strategy for deepening the love that day? It has to be strategic. Are we buying gifts that day? Are we going out that day?
yeah.
Are we sending things that day? You people will call me for consultancy on this one now. I'm giving strategy now. I'm
Very
giving
excited.
strategy.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. So
Um,
let me just okay again in rounding. You said something and it just came to me, right? So there a lot of our strategies have moved from conscious to the subconscious, right? And that's why you elicit a strategy even for yourself. So for some people, they're not very sure. Even as I was asking, what do you think is your own representational system? They were not really sure because they've not really. It's now subconscious, right? So if I ask you, how did you brush this morning? You can't really. You have to sit down to think about it, right? So I gave an example that there's a strategy for how you show up late. So
mm,
let me explain that, right? Some of us wake up, and when you wake up, the first thing you do, or the first thing that happens, is you have an internal dialogue with yourself, the AD. What does that mean? And this happens to me almost every Sunday morning. God have mercy on me. I wake up early in the morning and I'm like, must I go for 2 services? That's the internal dialogue, right? And I'm saying, why do I even have to go for first service? I'll not stay for second service. This, that. When I have that internal dialogue, what happens? It slows me down because I'm like, let me rest more. Or I wake up early and I'm like, is it morning already? Maybe my alarm rings and I'm like, is it morning already? And I'm just having that internal dialogue, right? So you have that, and then that leads to another action. What does that lead to? It now leads to me staying longer in bed, and then I show up late. So in creating, and I think this was supposed to be my next slide, I just remembered, you can actually create a new neural pathway for yourself. Again, like I said, it's not a matter of is it working, is it not working, is this right, is it wrong? No. Is it serving you? Is it giving you the results that you want? Right? So if it is not giving you the results you want, then you want to create something. So you want to create something out of the usual. So if usually you're a V to an AD to an A or whatever, you want to now say, okay, maybe I should start with an A first, right? So for some people, you just see, so since we like love, let me use love for instance. For some of our ladies, you just see a man, he's tall, dark, and handsome. You're excited, V has happened. And from that V, you want to just jump into the relationship, right? Why not start? Why not introduce maybe an A? So when you see the person is tall, dark, handsome, is fine, you like the visual. Why not introduce a conversation? Auditory, listen to what the person has to say, right? Maybe you can hear the person speak and you're like, and it's going to change the outcome, right? So you can always alter that circle. You can alter that circle of how you get your results done. So if you're jumping from to an AD to an A or whatever, you can decide to shorten it or expand it depending on the kind of results that you want. Yes.
Coach B, we will have to call it a day here because if we leave you, we will all be talking strategy all day. Coach
I'm
B's
sorry.
contact is in the comment section. I will strongly recommend that you reach out to her. I would strongly recommend that you book a session with her. I would strongly recommend that you follow through the sessions. For everyone who is interested in strategy, follow through with her session. And of course, you can even find out that there's also a strategy for love. Now, that one that I have taken note, a strategy for love. So maybe you also have to be asking yourself, what is our strategy for this one we are doing? Do we have strategy around it? Or are we just doing anywhere below face? Anywhere below face too may be your own strategy. But then again, is it functional? Is it helping? Is it helping you? So there's a strategy. That is the one I learned today. Maybe another person learned something about business. What I learned today is that there is a strategy for love. I will go and start penning out my strategies. I start doing my moves. Coach B has given me license now to start doing my moves. There is a strategy for love. Thank you very much, Coach B. We will take a 60-second short break and then we'll be back for our next speaker. It has been a wonderful early morning session with Coach Brenda, and she has been amazing. Thank you very much. We come back in the next 60 seconds. Just grab a cup of water, a cup of coffee, stretch your legs, just do something. That too is also strategy for enjoying this class. So this 60 minutes break is also a strategy for enjoying this class. I'll be back in the next 60 seconds. Thank you very much. Yes, yes, yes. We are back again from that short break. We started this session with strategy. And I mentioned earlier that this is a good time for you also to look at the strategy for the next 6 months. Very important. Today is the last Saturday of the first 6 months of the year. So this is a good time for you to rethink your strategy for the next 6 months. And in retrospect, assess the strategies you have deployed for the last 6 months. So this is that intersection, that midpoint of the year where you are asking yourself, what has our strategy been like for our business, for our organization, for our team, for our family, for me as an individual? What has the strategy been like for the last 6 months? What will the strategy be like for the next 6 months? And so it's important that we look at that. Our next speaker or facilitator also has a very good insight into strategy. But this time, I'm not going to let the cat out of the bag, so I would not preempt what she's going to say. But I also know that when it has to do with strategy in the digital space, she's also an expert with that. So she's Amanda Charles, a digital marketer, an entrepreneur, a speaker, a mentor, a community builder that is passionate about helping businesses, brands, and individuals unlock growth through innovation, strategic marketing, and purposeful leadership. She is the founder and CEO of iMandy Agency, a digital marketing agency that helps African businesses maximize revenue and make impact in the market through effective digital marketing strategies. Again, strategy. Beyond business, Amanda is deeply committed to leadership development. She's also the founder of HA, Healing Oasis, a healing school for women carrying the wounds of abuse, trauma, rejection, addiction, and brokenness. With this campaign, healing begins, hope is restored, and lives are transformed. Amanda is passionate and a strong advocate for empowering women and young people through mentorship, education, and community building initiatives. Her work focuses on equipping individuals with the tools, skill set, knowledge, and support they need to grow personally, professionally, and spiritually from the faith's angle. As a speaker, Amanda has spoken on several topics, including digital marketing, entrepreneurship, personal branding, leadership, women's empowerment, girl child mentoring, business growth, and their lives. She has a vision for building businesses and impact driven initiatives across Africa and beyond. If you are still here, I think we can give Amanda the best emojis to make her feel warmly welcome. Good morning, Amanda. How are you doing? I hope you're having a great day.
Hi, good morning, everyone. I'm so happy to be here.
Thank you very much. Yes. So, what's the strategy for today? Now we started strategy. What's the strategy for today? For someone who is wondering, what would Amanda be saying? What's the strategy? Maybe you can just give us a clue.
Okay, I listened to the first speaker, and thank you so much, Ma, for that section. It was very, very insightful and value-packed, yes. So what I have to talk on today is something similar, but I noticed that she focused on strategy. So today I'm going to be talking about visibility, yes. So our topic for today would be the African advantage, how to build a personal brand that creates opportunities across borders. So permit me to share my screen, please.
Yes, you can go ahead.
Awesome. Can you confirm that you can see my screen, everyone?
Yes, we can.
Okay, that's good. So we are going to be talking on the African advantage, how to build a personal brand that creates opportunities across borders. So I love the fact that she mentioned, that Coach B mentioned something about strategy. In fact, she took her time to explain how we can explore strategy across businesses and of course different areas of life, because I know that the only thing that Mr. OBK got is the strategy for love, and we are here for it actually, because we are looking forward to gracing your wedding with our presence. So yes, feel free to apply the strategy for love and get back to us when you see your results. Yes. So let's get right into it. Um, so we're going to be asking, I just have one question for everybody in this room. How many brilliant people do you know who are still waiting for their big break? Anybody? You can unmute your mic and talk, please. How many brilliant people do you know who are still waiting for their big break? It could be that these people are excellent in what they are doing. They are innovative, they are creative, they're like the go-to, they're experts, but yet they are still struggling in their industry. Do we know anybody like that? Okay, can anybody hear me? Let me be sure that I'm being heard. Can anyone hear me?
Yes, Coach
Can I-
Amanda, I can hear you clearly.
Okay, so yes, I can hear you. So I asked the question, do you know anybody who is still waiting for their big break? Let's say
Yes, several.
Yes, okay, that's great. So for me, I know a lot of people actually. I know so many people. So these people are intelligent, they are hardworking, they are honest, they are talented, but somehow they are still waiting to be seen. Somehow they are just somewhere praying to God to, let them blow, or let them become more visible in their industry per se. So I'll ask another question. So, have you ever seen someone online and thought, oh, I'm actually better than this person? But just somehow they are speaking at international conferences. Just somehow they are getting international clients. They are winning awards. They are getting invited into rooms that you didn't even know existed. Meanwhile, in your head, you are better than this person. Have you had any experience like this? Okay, yes, Chiemezie is reacting. So I guess that this is very relatable to Chiemezie. So now the question is, why them? Why not you? And this is not a question that I want you to answer. It's a question that I want you to reflect on. Take your time and ask yourself, probably after today's webinar, just sit down and ask yourself, why them? Why not you? Right? So let's go. As introduced, my name is Amanda. I'm a digital marketer and art director, employer, entrepreneur, and founder of Immersive agency. Right. So let's move on. So remember when we were kids, where our parents would tell us, "Oh, you need to go to school. You need to come out with first class. You need to get a good job and then start saving up, get married, and live within your means." Newsflash, that worked in 1990s, not in this 21st century. Why? Because I don't know how many of us are currently living in Nigeria, and even if you don't live in Nigeria, I'm sure that the economic system in the country that we live in per se is not how it used to be back then in the 90s, right? So we've seen that things have become more expensive, prices of goods and services have, gone up and all of those things. So the solution is no longer going to school. The solution is no longer coming out with first class, getting a good job and telling yourself, oh, there is job security and getting married, and trying to live within your means. No, that's not the solution now, right? So today we expect excellence and visibility. Visibility is optional, but the people who combine both wins. The people who combine both excellence in what they do and visibility. Remember, I told you that we are going to be talking about visibility. So yes, the first session you learned how to incorporate strategy in what you do. So it is that your strategy, when it works and you're consistent with that strategy, that you get visible. So when you combine both excellence and visibility in what you do, you just know that you would get the result that you are seeking for, right? So now imagine two restaurants. They both sell the same food. Of course, they make the same sweet sunrise, they make the same amala and ewedu, they make the same semo and egusi soup, right? But one is hidden in a street, like a quiet street where most people don't even know about, right? While the other restaurant is on the main road, like if your car is passing by, whether you are someone that lives in that area or not, as long as you're going through that route, you get to see them. Which of these restaurants will make more sales? Which of them will get more customers? Please, can somebody unmute and answer? Which of these two restaurants would you think would get more customers and make more profits, more sales? Anybody? Anybody?
Okay, ideally it should be the restaurant on the major road.
Okay, thank you so much for that, Mr. Chima. So yes, you're correct. So now, is it that the one on the major road, the reason why they are getting more sales is because their food is tasty? You remember I said that these two people, they cook well. I mean, they have tasty meals. But then we just find out that it doesn't mean that this second restaurant who have their location on the main road cooks better than the first one. It just means that they are more positioned for more people to see, right? It just means that they are more positioned for their target audience to notice them immediately, right? So it means that more people know that these people exist. Because if you want to buy from a brand or from a business, right, you first of all have to know that, oh, this business is functional, it's into existence. I cannot want to buy a bag from a particular brand without knowing that that brand is into existence. So the moment that people get to know that you exist, the moment that people get to know that you're functional and you render this particular product or services, the more that they'll reach out to you, especially when you're excellent at what you're doing. You see why I said excellence and visibility gives you that result that you're looking for. So many Africans are like the first restaurants, right? They are excellent, but they are hidden and they are waiting. So those first restaurants to be like, oh, let us pray that people would come and buy from us. They are just, in as much as they are excellent, they cook tasty meals also. They're just there hidden in a street, like, and then they are just waiting for people to buy for them. But if you want to actually create the kind of result you want to see in this time and age, you don't need to keep waiting for opportunities to come to you. You have to find a way to make these opportunities come to you, right? So I want everybody listening to me this morning to write this down. Talent opens doors, but visibility multiplies doors. So it's one thing to have talent, but it's another thing for you to have visibility. Yes. So let's take that into consideration. So to explain further, I wrote that talent gets you your first opportunity, while visibility gets you your 10th. This is true because imagine that somebody walks up to me and say, oh, you sell shoes. I want to buy this particular shoe, right? That is talent opening the first opportunity for you. But then if I'm able to sell that shoe right, like, one fear that most people who buy things or other things online face every single time is the fear of what I order versus what I got. Most people are scared that, okay, when they eventually place an order and they receive their order, it may not be exactly as you saw in the picture on the video. It might be something different that they don't like, right? So when you come to me and I sell you a shoe, let's say I have a website where I sell my product, my shoes, right? And then you come to me and you make an order and you pay, and the order gets to your doorstep. So the excellence at which I will deliver your shoes is going to play out, and this is the talent side of it, right? So because I served you well, you would not just be happy that you caught the shoe that you wanted to buy, right? You'll be happy at the customer service. It's not like when you would order something and then you give address for review and then you find out that they carried your order to somewhere else that is not the address that you put among the information. So by the time you see that, oh, I was very excellent in delivering these shoes to you, I treated you like a king and a queen, you're so happy, definitely you would refer me to other people in your network. You will not just come back and buy again from me, but you will definitely refer me to other people in your network. And in that case, you are just becoming a brand evangelist, where you are helping me advertise my brand without me even being there. Do you understand? So the next time somebody asks you, oh, I'm looking for a place where I can buy shoes, you can say, oh, you could try out these people. I have bought from them and I love their experience. I bought from them and I got what I ordered. So that evangelism you're doing for my brand in turns creates more visibility for my brand. So it doesn't just end with me having one opportunity. You keep referring me to other people and I keep having multiple opportunities, right? So again, talent gets you employed, while visibility gets you recommendation. So I've seen this play out for people that do 9 to 5. The first example of for business owners, right? Now this example is for people that work in a workplace, a corporate setting, like our 9 to 5 people. Yeah, so you can get employed because, let's say, a company is recruiting for the role of a graphic designer and you are very good at what you do, like you make the best graphic designs, that's a talent you have right there. So you come across a job advert that says, oh, this so company is recruiting for the role of a graphic designer, and you decide to apply because you have the skill, because you have the talent for it, because you have what the company is looking for, you would get employed. You will definitely get chosen over the other people, right? So in the course of you delivering your services as an employee to that particular recommendation, when you do your job very well, when you do it in an excellent manner, when you deliver in a timely manner, when you are just doing what you're paid to do, even over deliver self, you will see that a lot of people in that particular workplace will grow to like you. The bosses will like you. The CEOs, COOs, like your seniors, even your junior self will like you. Why? Because you are always delivering. So this time around, you're not just working as an employee, you are getting recommendations from people. So even outside the company where you're working, when somebody is looking for the services of a graphic designer, they would always recommend you, and they'll tell their network that if they're looking for somebody who wants to design well and somebody that will not ghost you, they should reach out to you. So that is you even getting more visibility for your brand, right? So finally, talent earns respect while visibility earns recognition. So the greatest opportunities of this decade, especially in this 21st century where we live in, will not go to the most talented people. They will go to the most trusted people, right? And trust grows through consistent visibility. It's not like a business owner who has an account on Instagram and today she's showing up, advertising her business, educating us on how to use her product and her services to solve our problems. And then for the next 1 month, you won't see her. Most people will not trust that vendor. Trust me. You know what these people that they're on and off, they're not consistent when it comes to showing up online. By the time they come back, they'll be like, I am back, who missed me? Actually, nobody missed you because you see that your target audience would have moved on to the next person. Remember that you are not the only person selling what you're selling. Whether it's product or service, you're not the only person selling there. You have a lot of competitors out there. So when you're not consistent, you kind of lose relevance in the market, right? Your visibility starts to reduce, and then you have your target audience move on to the next available person, right? So people think that money is the most valuable currency. Money is not. Money is just a tool that we use to make our lives better and all that. Attention now is the most valuable currency because come to think of it, every business wants attention. Every politician wants attention. Every NGO wants attention. Every startup, every church, every creator wants attention. Now, if you open your social media, you see everybody now is creating content. Do you understand? Because everybody's trying to get attention because they know that where there is attention, there is money there. It's just like when you go out to the market and then you want to buy, let's say, market is even too far. Let's say, okay, today is Saturday morning and some of us like to eat akara and bread, right? Let's say that you have 3 women frying and selling akara in your street, and then you don't know who to go to because let's say you've not even tested any of the akaras, right? So you don't know which particular person to go to. Your instinct as a human being would be to go to the one that has the most crowd. And I've seen this play out over and over again. It's not even because, sometimes the one that even have the most crowd may not even have the most tasty meal, right? Or the best of it all. But because you're seeing a lot of people queuing in that particular position, you will find out that you yourself will go and join others and queue. Even when the other 2 people don't have client or customers, they are free, you will still prefer to go and queue, wait that long for you to be attended to. Why? Because you see that a lot of people are gathering in one particular person's shop or store, right? When we have so many people selling that same thing. That is why attention is where the most valuable currency is. That is why as a business owner, or an entrepreneur, you need to be sure, you need to like do your best to make sure that you have attention, because when people give you attention, they are giving you their most valuable currency. So I also said there that attention also creates opportunity, and that's true because nobody buys from people they don't know. I've said this before. You really cannot buy if I don't know that you are into existence. How do you expect me to buy from you? I have to know first that you're into existence, that your brand is into so and so industry, that your brand solve this particular problem, or not necessarily solve a problem. It can also help me achieve my goal, right? Let's say I have a goal of making let's say 1 million naira every month for the next half of the year. If I come across you as someone in the finance industry, someone that is top rated, like your onion, you've worked with central bank for years, you are very financially knowledgeable to teach me this particular thing. When I reach out to you, I'm not having any issue. Instead, I have a goal, and my goal is to make 1 million naira monthly. So, as somebody that is in the financial industry, you are now helping me achieve my goal. So, it's not necessarily a must that you must have a problem to solve for your target audience. Sometimes it is you helping them achieve their goals, right? So no one buys from people they don't know. No one hires people they've never heard of, and no one recommends people that they haven't seen. This is why visibility is a must for you if you're either a business owner or an entrepreneur, right? So I wrote here that visibility plus credibility and consistency gives you that opportunity that you're looking for to go global. Remember that this what we are talking about is not just limited to Nigeria. It's not even just limited to Africa. Beyond borders, right? If you are visible, you're credible, you're consistent with the right strategy that the first speaker mentioned of, you would get that opportunity that you're looking for. So visibility, can people find you, right? Can people find you? When I check your name on Google or any search engine optimization, will I be able to find you? That's visibility. Now, when it comes to credibility, when they find you, do they trust you? Are you the person that says, oh, when you buy from us, you would get your order in the next 3 days, and 2 weeks later, they're not begging you, please now, wait, what happened to my order? In fact, you've even ghosted them at this point. Some people would have even blocked them. That's why you see people drag different business owners online, because why? They don't keep to their words. They are not credible. They don't have integrity, right? They don't say what they mean. They will tell you, oh, they'll just make all sorts of promises, and at the end of the day, you end up regretting why you bought from them. So are you credible? Beyond the visibility, beyond people finding you online, even if it's offline, are you credible? Integrity is one value that I would suggest that every business owner should have. You need to be true to your words, right? So now, consistency. Do they keep seeking you, or do you disappear after 6 months? Which is also something I've mentioned about. So you cannot be an entrepreneur and then you are inconsistent. Today we see you, tomorrow we don't see you, next tomorrow we see you, next that kind of a thing. You need to be consistent, right? Because people trust brands that are consistent. Do you understand? So yes. Moving on, if I searched your name on Google today, what story would the internet tell about you? Right? So there's my friend now. I have a friend who is currently trying to retrieve her 50 million naira from a supposed real estate brand, right? It happened to be that they claim to be who they are not, and they scammed her. And for 4 years, they have been going back and forth. At some point, they even stopped communicating with her, right? So what she did was that she has a community of over 1,000 women. So she used the power of community to, call to those brand owners, call their attention to tell them to, refund her 50 million naira. I mean, if just imagine the return of investment she would have gotten in 4 years. but she lost it. So you're not just talking about refund of money, we're also talking about the loss she has gotten in this space of 4 years. So of course, people started to drag them. At first, they were deleting comments on Google, on Instagram, everywhere they were deleting comments. At some point, they got tired because how many comments do you want to delete? I mean, we are talking about a community that has over 1,000 women. How many comments do you want to delete? How many people do you want to block? Do you understand? So now, because they got tired at some point, I go back to that brand and I still see some of those negative comments. You see some people that are tagged her thief, some people, people saying all manner of things, right? So these things, some of them are still on the internet. So now imagine that somebody that did not even have an idea of what happened just comes online and search for their brand. Guess what? They will see those negative comments. They will see all those negative labels that people have placed on this particular brand. And that will be a turn off. That will be the end. Of course, I'm sure that you will not go ahead with this particular brand, right? So you have to be very careful of the story you're putting out there or the story that people are saying about you. Sometimes it's not you that tells your story. Sometimes people tell the story for you. So you need to be sure that whatever the internet or people per se, whatever brand perception that people have about you is good. Because when somebody have a bad brand perception about you, that's the end. You will not even see them. You will lose customers, you lose money, and before you know it, your business is folding up and all of that. So again, when I search, there are so many people on this call. When I begin to search your names one by one or your brand names one by one, what will I see online? Right? Sometimes it's not even the negative part. Sometimes it can be the positive part, right? So sometimes when I search for people online, you see the different things that they do. Some say they are leader, they are designer, they are developers, they are financial analysts. They can be anything online, right? So if I search you now on Google, will I see anything about you? Sometimes you not even see anything about some people. It's just blank. No negative comments, no positive comments, nothing. They're not even online. Okay, how many of us now? How many of us are online? If I search for Margaret Puji, will I be able to see you online? So if you don't have an online identity, it becomes very difficult for you to acquire a good customer base. Why? Because a lot of people, I mean, this is the 21st century, and ever since COVID happened, a lot of people have taken to the streets of the digital world. So if you're not online now, you are losing out. If you are here and you don't have a digital presence, whether a website or an email or a sales funnel or even social media, any social media platform, you are so losing out. So first thing first, after this webinar today, is to go and create a digital presence for yourself, because I can't even count, as somebody that runs an agency, I can't even count how many people that have found us through Google. Because whenever somebody reaches out to us, we ask them, how did you find us? We want to know where you found us from. Did you see us on social media, or did you just stumble on our website, or is it family and friends that referred you? Or so we most times we get the responses that they find us on Google. And mind you that we've not even seen these persons before. We work remotely, so we don't even get to interact physically with them, right? So you see that most of them find us, most of our clients found us online. So if you are not online, you are losing out on visibility, and you are losing out on more profit. So we underestimate our stories. People think my life is ordinary, my experience isn't important, I don't know enough. But these are all lies. They are all lies, right? This is our head lying to us. Do you understand? Because I know here for a fact that everybody has a story. As a business owner, you have a story as to why you started that business. And it is this story that you have that will create a connection between the solution you are providing and the target audience, the people you are providing the solutions to, right? So your story helps create connection, because stories can get into the emotional side of people, and you know that human beings are emotional beings. So that is why when you put out content that doesn't appeal to people emotionally, you see they won't even react to it, or take the call to action you want them to take. You find out that most times you'll just end up watching the video and then scroll on to the next one. But if your story stands out, if your video stands out, if the message you're trying to pass is related to them, if they can see themselves in that situation, they will definitely reach out to you. Right? So your knowledge creates trust and your consistency creates influence. Now let's move on. So now we are going to talk about the 3 rooms, right? The 3 rooms that every business owner wants. The 3 rooms that every founder wants, every CEO wants, every employer or even employee wants. So let's go right into it. So room number 1 is the room of learning. So this is the learning stage, right? So this is a place where everybody starts. It's just like a baby that is being born into this world. First of all, you have to learn how to crawl before you take your time to learn how to stand, before you start learning how to walk. And mind you that when it comes to these different stages that babies go through before they eventually learn how to walk very well, they make a lot of mistakes, right? Because they are learning. So you see that in a bid of a baby trying to learn how to stand, he falls. At that point, most of them keep falling and keep falling and keep falling. But guess what? When they fall, they stand up again and try again and fall again and stand up again and try again until they get to the point where they now learn how to stand on their own without needing any support or without falling. Do you understand? So this room 1 is, I call it the room of learning. So everybody starts here. This is the place where you start reading about, let's say that you are someone that is into, I know that someone here is into fashion design. So trust me, Vicky James did not get to the point where she is at this moment by chance. It's not by chance, so it's not by luck. That lady has done her homework. She has done her due diligence, right? For her to be making clothes. And you know that her clothes, the people that, she sews bridal clothes to soon to be bride. When you look at her customers, right, you will see that they're not just limited to Nigerians. People outside of Nigeria even come to patronize her. And we all know how much she charged for her to make a cloth for you. Obviously, it's in millions, right? That is if we are using the Nigerian currencies, obviously in millions. So it has taken Vicky James years of reading about the fashion industry, years of learning, unlearning and relearning. It has also taken her years of watching videos, how to do this one, how to do this one, how to do that one, right? And it has taken her years of listening to people who has been before her. Trust me, Vicky James is not the first biggest fashion influencer or fashion celebrity in quotes. There are so many people that have been before her. So I'm sure that she must have taken her. I'm sure that she has a mentor or somebody that she can go back to when she have, challenges, or somebody that she's even looking up to for inspiration and motivation. Do you get? So you, first of all, you take your time, you learn, start to practice, which is the second room, the room of practice. It doesn't just stop at you learning. When you keep learning and accumulating knowledge and information in your head and you don't practice, you will get to a point where it will become content overload. At that point, you would even notice that your brain begins to send a message that it has already taken so much information. So the question is not, do I want to take information? The question is not, how much of information have I taken? The question is, am I doing anything with this information that I already have? What am I doing with this information? Am I practicing? Because like I said, it doesn't end at you. Like, you need to practice, right? It's more like when you go to school and then they're just talking theory, no practical. You and see that at the end of the day, you will not even become that expert you would have loved to be. Why? Because they denied you of practicals. That's why universities have theoretical classes and practical classes, so that when they finish talking in the class, you can now go to the lab where you now do the practice. It is now after you've done the practice, when you get it right, you now know that, oh yes, you truly understood what the lecturer said. Do you understand? So you need to practice. So most people just, they see a course an online course somewhere, you just pay for it and just attend class. Some people don't even finish. If I'm to ask question now, I would find out that some of us have started online courses and we've not finished it yet. Some people don't even finish their online courses because the excuse of they are busy or they don't have the time, right? While some will finish and will not even take time to practice. So when you are eventually trying to learn a skill, let's say a digital skill like cyber security or data analytics, first of all, what's the first thing you're supposed to do? You're supposed to go and learn. So after learning, you practice. This is where you now go and intern. You go and intern in companies. You intern with different people that are experts in that skill that you have learned. So when you are interning with them, you are practicing what you're learning or what you've learned. And of course, you make mistake, yes, but then you are just starting out, so it's allowed to make mistakes. Some people feel like, oh, failure, they're not supposed to fail. Failure is a very bad thing. No, failure is not a bad thing. Failure means that there's something that didn't work out right. So you need to go back to the drawing board to know what didn't work out right. So I've emphasized on the room of practice enough. So I'm just implying us that we shouldn't just stop at room number one, which is the room of learning. We should take it a step further to practice, right? You can intern with organizations, you can volunteer with companies, as long as you get the opportunity. I've even seen a lot of volunteers that have gotten opportunities, that have gotten visibility just by volunteering with big brands. Do you understand? So you have to take it a step further to practice, right? So the third room we are going to talk about is the room of visibility. So now this is where the opportunities begin. So now you've learned, you're practicing, you're delivering. You have to deliver, right? You have to deliver because, like I said earlier, you're not the only one doing what you're doing. There are so many competitors out there. So if you're not doing it, even if you're visible, even if you're consistent and you're not excellent, you're not delivering well, it will just be a matter of time before people just leave you and go over to the next person. So you need to be sure that you have to deliver. That's where the practice come into play, right? So when you've become perfect, you're now delivering results, you've gotten some level of experience, you've gotten some level of exposure, you now start, you even start with one person. When one person contacts you and you deliver your job very well, you see that person starts to refer you. So now you begin to have more opportunities. You now begin to have more people knowing what you do and reaching out to have an experience of what you do. Right. So many people stay in row one forever because row one is very tough. You require like discipline. You require enough discipline. You need to be disciplined and committed to come out of room one and enter into room two. Why some reach room two and just get so relaxed there, right? So our goal is to make it to room three, right? So now let's talk about how to finally build this personal brand that creates opportunities across borders. So now we've talked about why visibility matters. And we're going to talk about how to build a personal brand, not just in Nigeria per se. Or I don't know how many of us are joining in from different countries, but this is not just limited to your country. It's not just limited to Africa. You can even use this strategy and it will work for you for people in other countries, in the US, in Australia, and around the world per se. So we are going to talk about a framework. I don't know, please, how many more minutes do I have, Mr. Chima? Let me know how I should rush this section.
Give and take 10, 12 minutes.
Okay, thank you so much. So I'll try my best to be fast from here. So we are going to analyze a framework I created called the Bridge Framework. This is because your personal brand should become a brand between where you are today and the opportunities you would want to be tomorrow. So we are starting with the B, which is being clear about your value. Like I said there, if people don't know what you do, they cannot recommend. It's not a rocket science thing. If I don't know that, you are into the development space, if I want to carry out some projects in the development space, I will not reach out to you because I don't know, right? So you need to be clear about your value. So one of the mistakes I see a lot of people make is that they are trying to be everything to everybody, which is a very big mistake that is costing them, but they don't even know. Right? So I mean somebody that say, I am this, I am that, I am this, I am. I don't know how many of us have watched. There is this particular video that was circulated. The guy was trying to explain himself to someone. He was saying he's a doctor, he's a lawyer, he's this one. I don't know how many of us watched that video. At some point, you could see the facial expression of the person he was even talking to. The person was just confused, like, what are you exactly? Do you understand? So, again, if I could remember one thing about you, what should it be? Let me give an example. So I am sick. Like at the moment, I am not feeling too well, right? I am on medications, but I have to show up for this meeting. So, as I am not feeling too well, I want to go and buy drugs. And then I go to a hospital, or let me just use pharmacy. I go to a pharmacy that sells drugs, right? And I get my drugs. So there are two pharmacies. One pharmacy sells only drugs, right? And they attend to only patient that needs medical help or interventions. And then the other pharmacy have a drug section. They are now into sales of cars. They now they sell cars, and then they now also sell provisions. They now also have a fashion industry in that same pharmacy space. Which one do you think I will go to? Can anybody answer, please? Which of them do you think I will go to? Is it the pharmacy that sells only drugs alone, or the other pharmacy that does a lot of things? They sell cars, they're into fashion, they sell provision. Which one do you think I will go for? Anybody? Please, let's unmute our mic and say something. Can anybody hear
The
me?
pharmacist, ma. The pharmacist. The
Thank
one
you.
that sells purely pharmaceutical products.
Exactly. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you, sir. So you find out that most people will go to that one thing they are known for. Because if you are selling cars, you are into fashion, you are doing provision, you're also selling. I'm not gonna trust you, because this life you only live once. Do you understand? I would rather go to the one that sells only drugs and go and buy drugs or take injections or drip or whatever and be better than to go to the one that is into everything. So now this is a call for us to diversify, right? So if people could remember it for just one thing, what would it be? So I need us to ask ourselves that question and reflect on it. So this is where, in the course of answering the question, you ask yourself, what problem do I solve? Who do I solve it for? Why should somebody choose me? Because again, there are a lot of people that are doing the same thing that you're doing. So I wrote it that people don't buy titles, they buy solution. So, I started off in this call by saying I'm a digital marketer. But that one, people don't really shall sell me for that one, no, because at the end of the day, you're a digital marketer, how does it help my life? So instead of me to say I am a digital marketer, I would rather say I help small businesses attract more customers through digital marketing. So this way, I have talked about the problem I am solving in this particular sentence. I have talked about who I am solving it for, right? And I've talked about why somebody should choose me. First question, what problem do I solve? I solve the problem of attracting more customers through digital marketing. So digital marketing is just helping business owners market their businesses, their product, their services, their brands, or whatever online, right? So I have helped them to solve that problem. Who do I solve it for? Small businesses. Why should somebody choose me? Because I will help them attract more customers. Do we understand? So let me give another example. So now, instead of saying I'm a designer, I would rather say I help brands communicate clearly through impactful visual designs. Now, the difference is that one is a title, which is I'm a digital marketer, I'm a designer, which people don't care. Because how does your title help me with this particular solution, or how does it help me achieve my goals? But when you talk about the second one, which is the value you are bringing to, a lot of people ask this question, what do you bring to the table? When you tell people what you bring to the table, trust me, you've automatically gotten them. That's just it. You've just gotten them. You've gotten their referrals, you've gotten their network, you've gotten their access, and all of that. So from now on, let's learn to communicate value, not title. Do you understand? So this thing should reflect in your bio across all your digital footprints. So if you have online presence on any social media platform, TikTok, LinkedIn, Snapchat, Instagram, X, Google, whatever social media platform, you need, if your bio is just talking about your title, please, after this call, go back and rewrite it. Make sure that you are talking about the value you are bringing to the table, because that is what will make your target audience or your target customers stay. It's not your title, it is what value you are bringing for them that will make them stay. So if your bio is not reflecting this, please go back after this webinar and do what needs to be done. Edit it to communicate the value that you're bringing, right? So the next one is, we're talking about the bridge framework. The next one is the R, which is, raise your visibility. So this is where many talented people struggle. So, you cannot expect people to remember what they've never seen. So visibility is not just about posting every hour, it's about showing up consistently while delivering your value. So think about this way. Imagine you're looking for a lawyer. One lawyer hasn't posted on or I can't see the next one, anything in 2 years. Another regularly shares practical legal titles, another regularly shares practical legal tips, speaks at events, and publishes articles. Who would you trust first? Of course, I would trust the other one who shows up, right? So that's just what this arrow in the bridge framework is talking about. Now, I said here that visibility builds familiarity, which builds trust. So these are simple ways for you to raise. Another word for raise is increase, right? Your visibility. So you share one lesson. This is just meaning that you're actively showing up. People are actively seeing, your target audience actively seeing you, right? So you can share one lesson you've learned each week. You can talk about projects you've worked on, you're currently working on. You can share your challenges that you've overcome in the course of you providing these solutions to your target audience or helping them achieving their goal. So you can celebrate your wins and the wins of others. You can speak at community events, webinars, and podcasts. You can write articles on topics that just show up as the go-to person when people search, right? So the next one is I. This I is talking about investing in relationships. So most people think opportunities come from applications, but they actually come from relationships, right? So your next client may come from someone who has never hired you. I don't need to know you or work with you before now to buy from you or employ you. I don't need to. Once I just get a referral from my network that has vouched for you and say, oh, if you work with this person, it's going to be a very smooth ride, a roller coaster. I would definitely reach out to you. Why? Because another person has worked with you and gotten the result and didn't have a problem or didn't have a strained relationship working with you. So your next client may come from someone who has never hired you. The next collaboration may come from someone who has been quietly following your work. And this is something some people don't know. That you make a post and then you have 2 likes, 3 likes, 1 like, self. It doesn't even mean that people didn't see that post. Most times, some people are silent observers. You see this in groups, in communities. You have the active ones, people that are always commenting, people that are always talking in the group, but you also have the silent observers. They read. They just don't comment. They just don't talk. Some people, just the same way you have extroverts, we also have introverts, right? So the fact that you are posting and you're not getting the engagement or the kind of viral posts you are anticipating does not mean that people are not reading. They're reading your content. They're watching you closely. It's registering in their mind. So the next time they're looking for somebody that can the next time they're looking for somewhere to buy product, let's say electronics, fridge, TV, smart TVs, and all of that quality product, though you would be the first brand that will come to their head. Why? Because they have been following you for a while, and yes, they don't engage, they don't do any form of interaction, but they have seen you, they have studied you, they trust you now to deliver. Do you understand? So your next business partner may come from a conversation on LinkedIn. Relationships are built before they are needed. Don't only connect with people who want something. Engage genuinely. Because when you try to connect with people because of the benefit you get from them, They will smell it. People smell desperation from afar. That's why most times when women are so desperate to get married, they end up with the wrong partners, people that always want to scam them or just take what they want and dump them because they have already smelled your desperation. That is why rich people, when they see that, oh, you're coming into their life just to collect, ask, they find a way of disengaging you and taking you out of their network, right? So don't connect with people because you want something for them. Be there genuinely. Just be yourself, right? Encourage them, celebrate them, help them if they need help, volunteer with them. Just be real, be authentic, even if you need something. When they see that, oh, you've been showing up for them, you don't even need them you don't need to ask them. They would just help you and give you what you want, what you're looking for. So the next one is D, which is demonstrate your expertise. So you don't just tell people you're good, you show them, obviously. Me, if I want to buy something from a brand, let's say I want to patronize a particular brand. If I open your website and I'm seeing or your social media per se, and I'm seeing come and buy you, we are very good, I'll just scroll and pass. I'm looking for people that have bought from you. What was the experience with buying from you? Right? So you don't tell people, you show them, right? So this is where content becomes powerful. If you're an accountant, you can teach them. One thing about teaching people genuinely is that it makes you a thought leader in your industry, right? So when you teach people things that other people don't know, they trust you more. They'll be like, oh my God, this person has the value that we are looking for. They will stay. They may not even have the money to buy from you or patronize you at that time, but trust me, they are waiting for the slightest opportunity. The day money enters the account, you're the first person that they will call, right? So if you're a teacher, this one is just basically showing up, demonstrate your expertise, let people know that you're capable. Everybody actually have a talent inside of them, so don't let your talent get hidden. Let's take a reference from the Bible where God gave 3 people. I'm sorry, the Christians, some of us are not Christians, I'm aware, just indulge me this one time, right? So taking a reference from the Bible where that rich man gave 3 people different talents, 1 5, 1 3, 1 1. You see that the last person did not even he didn't use his talent. He just went to hide it. And then when the master came back, he faced punishment for it. There are consequences for it. So all of us have talent. You may be asking yourself, oh, what is in it? What's in it? Like, what do I have? You have something. You have something. Show up. You can be the type that knows how to talk. You can come out and talk about something. Nigeria is like going through a lot. You can just come and talk about something that would help the next person. There's just something that you have that the next person does not have, because trust me, everybody in this world have a talent. Some people have multiple talents, right? But let's even say that you've only discovered one. What are you doing with that one that you've discovered? Show up, demonstrate your expertise, let people know you for something, right? So going over to the next one, grow beyond borders. So this is where you build for city. The goal is not just if you are based in Abuja, the goal is not just to remain in Abuja, the goal is to go global, right? The same thing if you're based in the north, in the east, from the west side, just try. The goal should be to go global, right? So why would someone in Kenya understand this post? Why would somebody in Ghana benefit from this insight? Why would somebody in South Africa, Rwanda, or even the UK? Because again, it's not just limited to the borders of Africa. Why would they find value in what you are sharing? So now, just know that whenever you're sending out content, you don't just send out content for content. Say, yes, I know that most of these social media platforms they pay. Twitter pay, YouTube pays, Facebook pays, TikTok. If you're using a UK-based TikTok account, you get paid for putting out content. That's why we see a lot of people content, both the ones that make sense and one that doesn't make sense. Why? Because they know that these platforms pay, right? So, but you should have a reason why you're sending out content. The reason why you're sending out content shouldn't be so that you reach the terms and conditions of getting paid in dollars, right? The reason should be, you should just have a reason why you're putting out content. Do I want, or what message do I want to pass across, not just to Nigerians, but to people in other countries, right? So when you ask yourself, when you have a mindset of growing beyond where you currently are, it would help you in the way you do things. It will even help you in the strategy you're going to create for your business in reaching the right target audience. Then also, you network across countries. I love these Pan-African webinars because it lets you have access, network with other people beyond Nigeria, beyond even Africa. So it lets you just, connect with people and network with them, right? So I said here that you can join Pan-African communities, and this is a very good community that you can join. So please just give me 5 more minutes. Ah, my God, I have so much to learn. So the E part is, keeping to your word and all of that. Now going on to the next one. This is where I will draw the conclusion. So now, if you forget, okay, let me just quickly talk about this previous slide. I'm so sorry. So your brand is not built in one post. It is built in the small things that you do consistently, right? So some people say, oh, some people may have a goal of, reading a particular book. Let's say by the end of the month, I should have read 3 books. But then it's not, you don't have to wait till the end of the month to know if you would achieve your goal. From the little things you do there, you would even know if you would achieve your goal or not, right? So it's the small things, the little things that you do every day that matters. Do you get? So finally, if you forget every other thing I have said today, don't forget this bridge framework. Be clear about your value, raise your visibility, invest in relationships, demonstrate your expertise, grow beyond borders, and earn trust every day. Trust me, if you consistently apply these 6 principles, my dear, in fact, then go to rush yourself, right? So so the final challenge, so as I said there, I don't want this webinar to end as just another inspiring conversation. I'm not here to motivate anybody, right? So what I want you guys to do is that within the next 48 hours, this is the weekend, because from next week, people will start going back to work and all that. So take this weekend to rewrite your bio so that it is clear about the value that you offer. Update your LinkedIn profile, publish a post, just do something that will get you more visible, this weekend. So remember this, your location is where you live.
Okay, go ahead. I thought
Yes.
you wanted to say with this viewpoint of man.
No. Just give me 1 more minute. So remember this, your location is where you live. Your personal brand is how the world finds you, and it's not limited to your location, right? And in today's digital economy, the people who create the most opportunities aren't always the ones that are most talented. They're the ones who show up with clear, visible, trusted, and consistent value, right? So this brings me to the end of today's webinar. I'm glad that we got something today. So thank you everyone for having me. Have a beautiful weekend. Do you have any questions? I'll just,
Thank you
stop sharing
so
my
much,
screen.
Amanda. Awesome, awesome. As in, I'm overloaded. You have overfed me, Amanda. Thank you so much. Powerful insight. You're just hitting it, bomba, bomba, like hitting it, like somebody that you who vexed you this morning, who got you angry this morning. You're just releasing it, pa 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 pa
Oh,
pa
nobody.
pa 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 pa. Awesome, awesome. Thank you so much. So that means when it has to do with your visibility online, I don't think there's any other person more qualified to handle that for you than Amanda. So do well to reach her. Amanda, how can we reach you? How can we reach you? Where are you? Do we go on Google and search for Amanda Charles? How can we reach you? You can drop it in the comment section. I believe a lot of people will want to connect with you. You cannot do, I'm a shy person. I'm not a social media person. I'm not a, a, a phone person. I'm not the calling type. I hear that a lot. I'm not the calling type. I'm not the social media person. How do you want to move forward if you are not the calling type? You're not the social media type. You're not the internet type. So how do you want the business to grow? So this is a wake-up call for us to prioritize our visibility. While you can um, separate your personal visibility from your business visibility, you cannot afford to just stay where you are and say, I don't do social media. These internet something I don't do it. For others on this call, theirs could be that they are not active, but they are actively watching other people's content. They are on Instagram 24/7, watching all the videos, watching all the pages, but they have a business. They are on TikTok watching and they have a business, and they are praying to God to bring customers. and they are using burning data. Doing question will now be, why don't you outsource? If you can't take the lead, you can delegate, you can outsource. You have to do one of those three. And that is where Amanda and her team comes in. If you do not have the strength, you don't have this time, outsource. She is there to help you. If you cannot create the content, outsource, delegate it, find someone. By all means, you have to be visible. Thank you so much, Amanda, for that proactive and profound insight you have shared. It has gotten me thinking, and I believe every other person in the room can confirm the same. Just in case you have questions, reach out to Amanda. We haven't seen your contact in the chat, Amanda.
Yes, I just sent it now. So you can reach
Good.
out to us on 09060078776. You can actually follow us on different social media platform at I Am and the Agency. So I'll be looking forward to answering any questions that you have. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Amanda. This has been a wonderful session, and I'm so sure that we got value out of it. Thank you so much. And please, ladies and gentlemen, pay attention to your visibility. It helps. It helps. Be top of mind. Even if you're not making money, at least be top of mind. Let it just be that when we remember poetry, your name comes on. That's just it. Even if you're not making them, just be top of mind. Because you never can tell who is ready to patronize you. But when you're not top of mind and someone has the money, is ready to patronize, but is now wondering who is into poetry, who is into poetry, who is in 5 minutes is gone. We are still thinking about who is into poetry. 10 minutes, one day, we really cannot find one. It becomes an issue. And for us in the OSP, be visible. Don't just come into the OSP and stay back and be like, I'm just reading, I'm following. Be visible. Even if it's just one post a week, be visible. At least let your name ring a bell so that when opportunities come in, we are not wondering, who do we call? Who is into this? Who is into that? Be visible. This is a wake-up call for every one of us. Be visible. Thank you so much, Amanda. We are making progress. We're making progress, and we will have a very short session, a very short break, so that we can make stretch and all of that, and then we come back for the final session. For the final session is going to be an amazing one. It's going to be an amazing one. Fantastic session, and Amanda, you have a feedback in the account in the comment section. Please look at it again. Look at it again. Probably may have to give more numbers than one. If you have more, that will help. And of course, also an email address will also help. Let's expand ways people can reach you. Thank you very much, Amanda. We'll take a short break and we'll be back for a final closing session. Thank you so much. I believe you have had a wonderful session so far. So we'll do 2 minutes break so that we can come back for the last session and wrap up. Thank you so much. It has been a wonderful session so far, and I know that you're enjoying it. We'll be back in the next 2 minutes. Thank you very much. Okay, we are back. Yes. If you notice, I have just switched devices. Yes. Beautiful. Thank you everyone for still being on the call. Thank you, Abdul Majid. Thank you, Coach Abdurrahim. Thank you, Mr. Abel. Thank you, Amanda. Thank you, Coach Chiemezie. Thank you, Margaret. Thank you, Mudiaga. Thank you, Lauren, Damilo. Thank you, Patience. Good to see you. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Technochem. Maybe you can rename your device. And thank you, Tokwe, for still being on the call. Yes, I'm going to make a quick announcement to help us. Then we move into the last session. The first is that for everyone desiring to up their game, become more proactive, more professional, particularly in the area of coaching. If you have noticed, Coach Brenda, who took the first session, um, is a life coach, and then of course our next speaker is also a life coach. Um, so that gets to tell us that life coaching is actually a very powerful skill that you can deploy. For everyone who desires to be a life coach, you want to acquire that skill, you want to deploy it, you want to use it not just for yourself, but for others, organizations, teams, communities, businesses. Our next cohort for the life, business, and executive coaching certification course is coming up in August. My colleague Corridor is on the call. She will drop the details. You have to make provision for that early. It's starting second week of August. You have to make provision for that early. The last cohort we had at the early part of this year was tremendous, it was terrific. And we've had people from that class go on to join other powerful coaching organizations like ELCAN and of course the Institute of Coaching and Mentoring Nigeria. So it's really an opportunity for you to, like I mentioned earlier, up your game and become more effective at what you do. And of course, help others become the best version of themselves. So I needed to point that to you. Secondly, Amanda, if you notice, you can say that she appeals more to the younger generation. You can see it in her style of presentation. So you can always say, that's a young woman. But beyond that, you could see her sense of um, driving for excellence at doing business, of making money, of turning opportunities into profits. And that is what we've always campaigned and championed for ASECA, which are actually led us, but specifically Coach Sam, to start what he called the Gen Z Billionaires Club. The whole idea is to help our young people develop appetite for investment, develop appetite for putting aside a small amount of money for the future. And I believe so strongly that you have a young person in your life that need to get on board. The good thing there is that the payment is very, very, very friendly. With 25,000, you'll be able to join the Gen Z Billionaires Club. With 500,000, you'll be able to join the adult version of the Gen Z Billionaires Club, which of course has a lot of features and benefits and advantages relative to that of the Chiemezie Billionaires Club. So it's important that you make a decision for the future. It's important that you ask yourself, what is my investment habit like? Because Brenda talked about strategy. You should be asking yourself, for the last 6 months, what has my investment strategy been like? If I'm to score it or rate it on a scale of 1 to 10, what will be the best rating for that? If you believe that you can do much more than you have done the last 6 months, then I recommend strongly that you consider joining any of the investment platforms or investment communities we have. For the Gen Zs, 18 to 30, 18 to 35, you can join at 25K. For the older adults in the 40s, 50s, you can join at 500K. Of course, with several terms, conditions, benefits, advantages that differ for the two investment communities. So I thought of mentioning that because it's important. Investment is possible. Investment is key. Investment is a buffer to tomorrow. There are opportunities in tomorrow. There are also risks in tomorrow. So you have to prepare for both and do the best you can to shock absorb to the barest minimum such that it doesn't impact you, your friends, your family in a very drastic manner. So those two, it's important to keep them in your mind and in your itinerary. Live business and executive coaching certification course is in August. Make room for that. It is for 500,000. You can start registering now. You can call us. The information is in the comment section. You can call us, send us a message, negotiate how you can join that class. It's important to join that class, and you will not regret it. Thank you so much. Okay. Our facilitator, and of course, the last person we have is a very terrific individual. Very terrific. Very, very terrific. I'm going to quietly look for his profile and I will read it to you. But you can be sure that he is a premarital coach, a marriage coach, and a family therapist. He has an extensive knowledge when it has to do with premarital counseling, coaching, family therapy, and things around that. He is Coach Chiemezie of Ofodum. Coach, I hope you're on the call. Can you hear me, sir? How are you doing? I just needed to be sure that you're on the call, sir.
Yes, I'm right here. I can hear you loud and clear.
Yes. You know, one thing about Coach Ofodum is that his accent, I keep wondering, where did he pick it up from? I like to do same. You see the way I'm doing my own accent. I'm doing my own accent so that I can be like you, Coach. Maybe you can teach me how I can do this accent some. Do I need to come for a therapy session? Is it a therapy that I need to do? Or is it a coaching session that I can tweak my accent and it will sound so gorgeous, alluring, amazing, beautiful? You know, I think these are some of the actions that I can deploy in my strategy, in my love strategy. Coach Brenda says there's a strategy for love. Maybe accent, if I modify my accent, I could deploy it for my own strategy. Coach Chiemezie, you are into this love with marital something. If I deploy it, here I will get a good, handsome, good looking lady. Would the strategy work?
It's not a chance, yeah.
Okay, good. So all you there, I'm coming. I've gotten license from Coach B. I love is a strategy. And Coach Chiemezie said, yes, I can deploy assets, sweet assets, as a strategy for winning your hearts. Coach Chiemezie,
Please.
for people who are meeting you for the first time, who are you?
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Do I take it up from here?
Yes, please, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate you, Chima. Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Chiemezie Ofodum. What he's saying about the accent, I really don't understand it because that's why they talk. So it's not any special thing. I mean, so you're just getting me blushing unnecessarily. Like they say in pidgin English, you just they wash my head, right? No, but thank you. I appreciate the kind words. All right, I appreciate you so much. Thank you very much. And what I do, I'm Chiemezie Ofodum, and hey, that's what I was thinking of. Thank you, Charles. They whine me, right? That's the grammar I was looking for, you know. But I appreciate you, Chima. I see that you're a smooth talker. You're fine with words, so don't worry, babes, no go hard. Just make sure it's for marriage, not what I don't know. All right, so I'm a premarital coach. Like I like to introduce myself, and a marriage and family therapist. But picking from what Coach Amanda just shared, instead of just saying that I'm a premarital coach, I thought to describe what really is the impact of transformation that I like to live with people. So I was thinking to myself when she was talking, how do I frame what I do? All right. This is what I'll just have to say is that I communicate skills that improves an individual's capacity to be their best selves for their spouses, family, and society at large. All right. Sorry, I have a timer. Let me just quickly put it on since I'm already speaking. Okay. So that's why I'm Chiemezie Ofodum, and I communicate skills that would help, an individual be their best self for their spouses, family, and society at large. All right. So that describes what my passion is about. Let me just move on with my presentation. Right. I've enjoyed every speaker this morning, the earlier two speakers. I've enjoyed the sessions. God bless you. I learned a lot. I also want to appreciate Chima for the great work he's doing. This is a good platform. It's a great opportunity. I'll be sharing my screen in a bit. And those of you who are here, I know that by God's grace, you would enjoy yourselves in this session because it promises to be a lot. I will try to run at some point. So if you have questions, do well to draw me back. I'm just trying to get myself in form. All right. So I'll run at some point. Feel free to write notes. Put down a question if you have a question or something, right? So that when we get to that time to take questions and answers, you can ask it, right? So I acknowledge all of you who have stayed up to this time, and I wish that the next few minutes of your time will be so loaded and so valuable that you'll be grateful you stayed to the end. All right. That said, I'm speaking about a topic, and I called it a cause greater than us. A cause greater than us. You would love this. All right. So just flow with me. Flow with me. First, I like to share some thoughts with you. The first one says the size of the sacrifice people are willing to make is often a measure of the value they place on the outcome. All right, I'll read that again and just ponder on it. The size of the sacrifice people are willing to make is often a measure of the value they place on the outcome. All right, I'll drop another one. People become extraordinary when they discover a cause greater than themselves. Right? Time will fail us to try to unpack all of these, but it's just something for you to ponder on and go expand in your own spare time. When purpose becomes greater than comfort, impossible becomes possible. Wow. Solid. When purpose becomes greater than comfort, impossible becomes possible. So I intentionally did something with this session today to not tell you where exactly it's going to just yet. I will take you through a couple of places here and there, but at the end, it will tie up and it will mean something, right? So just follow me and enjoy the journey. Let's do this together. Yeah, the next one says, small dreams produce small sacrifices, and great dreams produce remarkable endurance. All right, remarkable endurance. Now, why did I actually come up with all of these quotes? It is to communicate the whole idea of the topic I mentioned earlier, a cause greater than us. Right now, no great achievement has ever been pursued because it was easy. As a matter of fact, on the contrary, in fact, in the words of John F. Kennedy, he said, well, we chose to go to the moon. We didn't go there because it was easy, but because it was hard, right? So that means that people would not mind, but they would sacrifice years, comfort, fortunes, and everything they have to build something that they consider worthwhile for the good of humanity. I like to record that thought again. People are willing to spend all they have, right, to build something that they consider worthwhile for the good of humanity. All right. So I would to establish that point, I would take a look at a couple of engineering wonders in the world, right? Some of the breakthroughs, some of the amazing engineering feats in the area of construction. And the time will fail us to talk about such prowess in other areas as medicine, as agriculture, as ICT, so many things, right? But let's just stick to these ones for the purpose of this conversation. And while I have a number of them to share with you, I may just touch one or two and run through the other ones so that we'll make the most of our time. So let's get right into it. So I hope you can see the picture on my screen. This is a bridge called the Akashi-Keiho Bridge in Japan. I mean, I'm not from there, so if I don't get the pronunciation correctly, please pardon me, right? The Akashi-Keiho Bridge, somewhere in Japan, right? So let me just give you a few points about this bridge. It's the world's longest suspension bridge connecting two Japanese islands. And then to give you a picture of that, imagine hanging on a road that is being held by giant steel ropes over a huge sea. That's just trying to give you the idea of what a suspension bridge is, right? And this is the longest in the world, right? Now, let me give you a little background to why this bridge became necessary, right? So before they had this bridge, this river or this ocean or this sea was a very volatile and storm-swept kind of sea. So in fact, it was very difficult for people to cross because they only used to cross then by ferry boats and all of that, and it could get so foggy that crossing was just a lot of risk. But what really took it to the next level was sometime in 1955 when they experienced what they considered a very massive maritime disaster, and a passenger ferry collided. In fact, two what you call it now, passenger ferries collided with each other because of how terrible the fog was, and it claimed 168 lives, including dozens of children, school children. Now, this was too devastating for them. The public outrage and the grief and all of that transformed into a national resolve to build something that will be safer, something that will be permanent, and something that will be easy for people to cross over, right? So I'm just giving you that background so you understand why this is important, okay? So now, what problem did it solve? The danger of the ferry crossings that killed many people during the storms. Why was this necessary? To make transportation safer and to make faster movement of people and goods from one part of Japan to the other part, from one part of this island to the other part, right? And then how long did it take them to construct this bridge? It took 10 full years. See one part that keeps busting my brain. How many people were involved in this project? Over 2 million workers, engineers, and specialists throughout this project, right? And then it cost about $4.3 billion, in USD estimate. What were some of the challenges they faced while they were doing this? There were earthquakes, there were typhoons, deep water, strong ocean currents. As a matter of fact, during the construction, they experienced a major earthquake, about a 7.5-degree earthquake, right? And it was so significant that it tested the quality of what they were doing. The most of the infrastructure was not compromised by that earthquake. As a matter of fact, there was just an adjustment of about 1 meter, right? Because of the movement of the earth crust, right? So there was just a movement of about 1 meter. That was the impact that the earthquake had on this. And so it was also kudos to the great work these guys had done. It is said that it can withstand a magnitude of an earthquake of magnitude 8.5, and it can withstand strong winds of over 280 kilometers per hour. Such a brilliant work put in here. Such a brilliant work, Let me also share a few things that I couldn't put here because of space. Now, one of the amazing facts about this bridge is that the steel wire that was used to construct this bridge is said to have a dimension, or what do you call it now, a length, if stretched out, of about 300,000 kilometers. While that may not make any sense to you if you're like me that really doesn't care about the measuring index, right? What this tells you really in real terms is that if you stretch that steel wire around the earth, it will go around the earth 7 times. This is what people put into a project because of how important it was to them, because of what they wanted to achieve, because of the preservation of human life and to make movement easy. Look at all the effort that these guys put in. And in fact, that's still another big deal about that steel was that the standard bridge wire wasn't strong enough, right? So the Japanese scientists had to invent a new ultra high strength, kind of steel wire. So they created something new to be able to achieve the level of impact and strength, support or rigidity, whatever it is, the word that, to achieve that goal, they had to go. So imagine all the research and development and all of the time and the funds that went into this. So they were able to come up with something that was twice the weight of the conventional steel wire. Just imagine that. And then something again about another wonderful aspect of engineering that, just blows my mind all the time is the quality of concrete that they use to send the pillars down to the waterbed. Right? What they did was they developed what do you call it now? They had to send the pillars down as much as 200 feet into the seabed. So I'm not just talking about these things just bust my head, really. Not just getting to the base of the river or the ocean, right? It had to go 60 meters deep, which is about 200 feet into the seabed. And then they used a custom developed non-disintegrating underwater concrete to ensure that it would never erode. So the more the water is interacting with the concrete, there is no chance that it's going to erode. It's so fantastic. Fantastic. Let's look at another amazing work of engineering. This one is the Panama Canal, right? And then let me talk about it for a bit. So it's a giant water shortcut that allows ships to pass between the Atlantic and the Pacific Oceans instead of sailing around South America. Now, let me explain it better. So before this canal was built, when ships are conveying goods, they had to circle about 13,000 kilometers. In other words, another 2 months journey around the entire South America so that they could connect from the Pacific Ocean to the Atlantic or from the Atlantic to the Pacific Oceans, right? So they had to circle all that distance. And then these are people saying that, man, this thing is too long. We need to find a way to bridge this gap. We need to find a way to, while you're thinking about how to make goods move faster, America was also thinking, how do we, reduce this space so that there can be ease of passage for our Navy ships in case of defense and things like that, So the point is they had a need, and then they thought that, okay, instead of going around South America, there was this tiny canal, there was this space there. You know what? Let's put a passageway here. so that the ships don't have to travel all the way around. But they had one challenge. The water levels between the Pacific and the Atlantic Oceans, they were on two different levels, right? So let's say the water level for one is here and the water level for the other one is here. All right, so how are we going to do it to make a very smooth transition of these heavy duty ships? And another creative ingenuity came out. They created an artificial lake, right? And then this is just so beautiful. Created an artificial lake, and this is where the wonder of this canal comes in. What they did with that lake was they built a mechanism that when a ship is coming from the lower water, you get into the lake, it carries you up to the level of the next water you're going to, and then you move and get into that same level, right? Now, in the same vein, when you're coming from the higher ocean, right, you get into the canal, it brings you down to the level of this one, and you continue moving. That is just so amazing. It's like an elevator for ships. We're not talking about an elevator for human beings. Imagine a ship. Some of these massive ships can carry as many as 24,000 40-ton containers. That is just the weight of the containers. What about the weight of the infrastructure itself? And yet, human ingenuity is able to go through all the processes to create an elevator system that can lift the ships up to balance with the next water level and drop it down to balance with the next water level depending on the direction. Imagine all of the protocol, imagine all of the logistics, imagine everything that went into this kind of a project. All right, so why was this necessary? To reduce shipping time, trade cost, and global commerce, and of course the defense advantage for the US. Right now, this construction also lasted about 7 years. All of these information are unique, and we would get to their significance in just a bit. All right, give me a second. I'm trying to keep an eye on my time. Okay, good. So how many people were involved in this project? Over 75,000 workers. As a matter of fact, the first construction, this project was embarked upon at first by some French engineers, but it failed. Why did it fail? Something that you may not even think about. It was the outbreak of mosquitoes and all kinds of insects that caused malaria, and then they also suffered yellow fever, and it was so devastating that for the French workers, they lost. The estimate is between 20 to 22,000 workers. That is a real disaster. So you know what, they had to end that project. Like, it's not worth it. How many more people need to die just because of this thing? So they had to stop. And then what happened was, after they stopped, the US, of course, leveraging on the information gathered, administered a public health campaign, went and developed a solution to start fumigating and all kinds of things to get rid of all of those mosquitoes and stuff, so that this project could commence. This was a break of about 20 years or so, and then the US now began this project in 1904, and it took another 10 years. Even with all the intervention they did for public health, about 5,000 workers still died of the people who were involved in this as a result of the yellow fever and malaria outbreak. Right now, some of the other challenges they faced were the landslides. They had to do very serious explosions. As a matter of fact, I was reading somewhere that the explosion, I think they had to use almost 60 million dynamites to do some of the major earth movements they needed to do. Right, this is just, I'm again emphasizing what people are willing to do because of a cause they believe in. Right, so other amazing facts about this is that it's one of the greatest public health breakthroughs, because mosquito control was discovered and it was made possible, and then of course, by now there are vaccines to prevent yellow fever, so that has also been overcome. Right now, let me just give you a pictorial illustration of how this canal works. Right, it's not very clear, but if you can see my screen, this is just an illustration. So from one water to the other one, and then you get into the lake, and then it raises the ship, it moves on to the other side, it descends, it drops it back. Time will fail me to explain the workings of this lake, but it's something that if it interests you, you can just read up. Very interesting systems. Very interesting system. They used water, as the hydraulic to regulate the lifting and the dropping of these ships. Amazing stuff. Very amazing stuff. Like I said, for time's sake, let me just move on. So there are several other engineering feats. I'll spend time talking on this one, and then for the other ones, I'll just run through them very quickly. Now, this one is called the tunnel rather. And it's a railway crossing beneath the sea connecting Britain and France. So to make it clear to you, imagine getting into a train that is driving underwater. Now, take note, the point is not just that it is driving inside the water. The point is that it is driving underwater. What does that mean? It is driving below the seabed. Below the seabed. Crazy stuff, right? How do engineers come up with this kind of idea? What were their reasons? The same thing, when other ferries were passing, it was usually very slow, and depending on the weather, it could be very foggy. Some of these waters are not funny to be on, right? So it was very dangerous. And then they said, no, we need people to move faster. We need goods and services to move faster. What should we do? And out of all the solutions they were thinking of, they were willing to imagine a project like this, to go to this river that is between us, or this ocean that is between us, go to the depth of the ocean and go even way deeper, because they have to factor in a lot of things. They have to factor in the water pressure. They have to factor in the fact that if they make mistakes, there could be leaks, there could be, they factored in all that. And then let's see. It took them 6 years to deliver this project, about 13,000 workers, and about 9 billion euros, or pounds rather, was spent in this project. What were the risks? Of course, water pressure, tunnel collapse, fire, and all of these things are not just happening to you on land, deep underground. So some of the things that make this tunnel, some of the other interesting facts is the fact that being inside such a tunnel, they made adequate provision for safety. So the tunnel is not just the one that the train passes on. There are like two outer layers of tunnel, right? The immediate outer layer is like a service deck for safety in case people need to evacuate the tunnel if there's an accident or an emergency, right? And they did it such that if there is a fire inside that tunnel, it has a system that will evacuate the smoke immediately, so that all the people are safe, and then they can safely move on to evacuation. And then as long as this tunnel was, every 375 meters, there are exits, emergency exits, so that people can, in the case of anything, people can escape and they are safe until they find help, right? Massive stuff, just massive stuff. I hope as I'm sharing this thing, somebody is thinking the way I'm thinking. How do people create all of these ones? Okay, now the next one is the Burj Khalifa, right? Those who have been to Dubai may have had the opportunity to experience this in reality. Amazing piece of engineering, amazing. Currently the tallest building in the world, even though there's a Jeddah structure, what do you call it now, skyscraper, going on in Saudi Arabia that is supposed to be the tallest. It's going to be over 1 kilometer in height if you stretch it upwards, right? It's just amazing stuff people are doing. Amazing stuff, right? All of these things don't come easy. Oh, and then you talk about the Great Walls of China. This one took how many generations to build, right? It was said to be built over over 2,000 years and in different phases. All right. So they say it's not just one straight wall, but a collection of different walls, right? So imagine what it would take, the manpower to put this kind of thing in place. And what were their reasons? Because of foreign invasion. There were other tribes that were invading their communities, and they say, you know what, we need to protect ourselves. How should we protect ourselves? Let's make it hard for these people to cross over, and then let's build a wall. And that may sound familiar. If you remember somebody who used to say, we need to build a wall, we need to build a wall, we need to build a wall, if you know what I'm saying, just for humor, right? So I'm sure I got the concept from here, because these guys built up a wall for their defense. And then for him, he needed to stop illegal migrants and said, we need to build a wall. And they put up that wall. All right. So much for that. Now, this is another example of amazing, and these things are world wonders. Some of these structures I'm showing us. So I thought that I should not just go around the world. Let me also come to Nigeria, because we say if we have a wonder, right? And is the example of the Benin moat. Now, let me put a disclaimer already. The picture you have here is not the picture of what the moat actually looked like, but it was very difficult to get actual pictures of what the moat looked like when it was made, right? Because what it is now is unfortunately a sorry situation and a shadow of what was ever something intentional, right? But the idea of the moat, unlike this picture you're seeing where it's an elevated wall, the moat was built the other way around. So trenches were dug so deep that would discourage foreign invasion and would give the defending city an advantage. So when you're trying to come into the old Benin Kingdom, you have to descend into that valley. While you're there, they'll finish you, right? You will never have the chance to climb back out because it was also designed in a way that climbing out was very slippery. So if you get into that place, you will just die there. It's either that the armies will destroy you or hunger will finish you there if you don't, So it was a very interesting thing. And it worked for the ancient Benin Kingdom. It protected the kingdom from external invasion, This, again, is an amazing wonder. It was built way back between the 9th and 5th centuries, all right? Of course, hundreds of thousands of laborers were involved in this. Of course, the cost is not known because what did they use then? Purely manual labor. Purely manual labor, right? No sophisticated engineering, purely manual labor, all right? And then some amazing facts. Some people argue that it is the second, I think according to Guinness Book of Records, it's like the second largest earthwork done by humans. But what some people argue is that it's actually longer than the Great Wall of China, almost 2 times. That's, like I said, it's an argument. It's not, some studies say that, some studies argue that the Great Wall of China is longer. But this is just something really amazing. Why? Because some people thought it was a worthy cause to protect themselves from external invasion. Imagine all the families that had to be recruited into this. Imagine how long it took. Imagine all the sons that once you get to a particular age, so you're going to join the men in the farm, or all of you start digging. Just imagine that. Imagine all the risks. Imagine all of the stress, everything that went into doing this. This is the final picture I will share with us, and then I will get right to other things. This one beats my imagination. It's the International Space Station. What exactly is this thing we're looking at? It's not just a satellite in space. What this is actually a massive laboratory floating in outer space, and astronauts actually live here and work here. The size of this thing is as large as a football field. So imagine that, just imagine that. Imagine with that size, imagine the weight of such a facility, because this is a facility. It's not just it's not iron and wire. It's a facility. Human beings are here and have been here for the past how many years, since it was launched in 2000 or so, right? And it's floating in space. Think of all of what it would take to achieve such a massive feat. Let me read some of the points I put here. So why did they think this was necessary? Just imagine, people that are not thinking about fuel price. Well, this is what you do when you're not thinking of fuel price. You're not thinking of banditry. You're not thinking of whether your vote will count or not. Look at the kind of things you start thinking about. You have done so much experiment with land, with with earth. But you need to conquer the stratosphere, whatever that is, right? And now you're saying we need to have a lab there so that we can actually collect real samples. We can understand certain things. We can see the world from outside. We can, just imagine all of the wonderful things that are possible technology-wise. Because people said we need to have a lab in space where we can, from there, learn about Earth and come up with technologies that will support Earth. And if you don't know, one of the major technologies that this lab helps with is the understanding of when you do this what do you call this? This weather forecast people, what do you call it? Meteorological department, right? Being able to understand the weather, being able to understand the oceans, that's why they can predict that, in so time, there may be this kind of tsunami, there may be this kind of earthquake, there may be this kind of thing. Why? Because they're able to study the earth from outside, see it from different angles. Another amazing thing about this massive creation is that every 90 minutes, it orbits the earth. every 90 minutes. So that means that the people in this orbit, in this facility, every 90 minutes, they're able to experience about 16 different sunrise and sunsets across the Earth. Amazing stuff. This was not built by just one country. As a matter of fact, about 15 countries came together, but the top 5 countries that did more of the work was, of course, the US, Russia, Canada, I think the French, I can't remember, I'll find it somewhere, right? So 5 major countries, did more of the work. They spent over 150 billion to execute this, right? What were the risks faced? Now, just imagine this. This whole massive thing you're seeing was not built on Earth and then launched into space. No, they built parts, components on Earth, sent it to space, and started assembling it in space. Are you seeing what you can achieve when you're not thinking about NEPA? Are you seeing what people are thinking about? They went to space and started assembling this thing. They had these massive payload planes. So just imagine an aircraft that will carry what is like a house in it, fly into space, open up right there in space, wait there. It has all of the tools in it. And then from that plane, they have these long arms that they use to start, arranging it, fix it here, join here, do that, until this thing was completed. It was built by the US on one side, it was built by the Russians on the other side, and everything to precision. In fact, another wonder about that canal I spoke about was the fact that it was built by both what do you call it now, France and the UK. And imagine building from one end facing your own what do you call it now, specific challenges in the water body there, and those building from France coming from there facing their own challenges, and they were able to depend purely on fine precision calculations and all of that, for want of the exact technical terms, and they were able to meet at the center or meet at the right point. And the studies show that the deviation was just very few meters or centimeters or something. Imagine such accuracy. Imagine what man has gone through to conquer impossibilities. So the same thing here. So this team built, the other team built, and everything fit properly together. And this thing has been orbiting the Earth since year 2000. And interestingly, it's been occupied by humans. So of course they do shifts. All right. So the way you wake up and say you're going to night shift is how some people's parents wake up and they're going to space shift, and maybe their turn is 3 months and then they come back. Just imagine all of this and what it takes to have life up there. Do you know that things like their sweat and their urine is being converted into oxygen? Let's leave all of these dynamics. So bear with me. One of the things that I like to pass time with is just reading about these amazing things. So I could talk and talk, right? There are several others, but I just had to pick some of these ones just so that we can make our point. So where am I going with all of this? A quick summary. So the Akashi Bridge, the Panama Canal, what were the greatest sacrifices they had to deal with, and then what was the greatest vision they were looking at? For the Akashi Bridge, the greatest sacrifice was nature. They were going to have to face nature, a very harsh and boisterous one. But what was the vision? They needed human safety. Now, let me say something about that canal I forgot to mention earlier. That canal does not just have passenger trains for human beings. So you can actually drive your car into a kind of train. You can drive heavy-duty trucks into a train, into a vessel, a container, and it also takes you through that underwater thing. And the passenger trains are blasting at 100 kilometers per hour speed through under the ground, over 75 meters into the seabed. Man, amazing. All right. Now, why was that necessary? Or rather, okay, now I'm on this page. I'm talking about the greatest sacrifice versus the vision. So for the Akashi Bridge, it was nature. They had to face all of that, and the vision was human safety. For the Panama Canal, there was disease outbreak, and what was the vision? Global trade, right? So they had to conquer that disease outbreak to be able to achieve global trade. For the Channel Tunnel, which I just described, they had to conquer geography. right? You had to go to the earth's crust and alter things for that thing to work. What were they trying to achieve? International connection. For the Burj Khalifa, with the highest peak in the world right now, what were they trying to achieve? National transformation. Before then, Dubai was just mostly about the oil and the desert. But they said we want to do infrastructure that would also add to tourism. So it was a big deal for them, and they achieved that. And several other feats in their structures, by the way. And then the Great Wall of China. What was the greatest sacrifice? Time. It took over 2,000 years. Guy, not 20 years, not 200 years, 2,000 years? How do you even calculate that, man? So much to wonder about. But what were they doing it for? National survival. The Benin Moat, it took manual labor, hoe, shovel, right? What were they doing this for? Kingdom preservation. For the International Space Station, what was the greatest sacrifice? They had to do this thing in space. Where there's no gravity, you'll be floating. But what was the greatest vision? A breakthrough in human knowledge. The kind of things, the kind of knowledge they will have access to. Amazing stuff. Amazing stuff. Let's take out certain lessons from all of these things as I begin to bring it home now within the next few minutes. What was the common pattern here? One, these guys solved problems that were bigger than just one individual. Two, they demanded sacrifice before results. All right? So you see, none of these engineering marvels that we're talking about were built just for anybody's convenience, just for a few people to feel good. They were designed to solve problems affecting entire nations or humanity. Thousands of workers invested years, sometimes even generations. Imagine all of that. Some of them did not even see the outcome, but they demanded sacrifice before they could see the results. The third point there is that their perceived value justified the enormous cost, right? All those billions and all that was spent. The fourth point is the great achievements required multiple disciplines. So it was not just a case of I'm a civil engineer. We had the engineers, you had the electricals, you had the scientists, you had the for those who are testing the soil, for those who are all manner of disciplines. Imagine all the disciplines that came together to build that bridge, for example, right? The fifth point is that every project encountered unexpected crisis. Unexpected, right? And then the sixth point is that these great visions outlived their builders. Some of them, the people who worked on them are no more, but the structures are still standing. Humanity is still benefiting, is still enjoying all of these things. Now, let me bring it home. Like I introduced myself at the beginning, what I really like to do is around marriage and family. I'm not an engineer. I'm not all this grammar I've been speaking since. What I really like to do is around marriage and family. I like to help people who are not yet married to learn and get certain perspectives and gain certain skills that will help them build capacity so that they are their best selves, because your marriage is only as good as you are, right? And if you are lucky, no, not lucky, if you are informed enough and you're blessed enough to attract a partner who is like you, then it takes two good eggs to make a good omelet, right? If one of the eggs are bad, then that omelet is messed up, right? So I'm bringing it back home. Yes, all of that talk was to show you a few things about marriage and family. Okay, so what are the marriage lessons from all of these stories I've been sharing with you? One, marriage exists for a purpose greater than the couples themselves. Have you heard so many people whose thoughts about marriage is, I want to be happy. Oh, I just want somebody that will make my dreams come true. You ask somebody, what are your dreams? What's an example of what's your biggest dream in life or your biggest aspiration? And you say, my dream in life is to marry the man of my dreams. So when you do that now, what else? Right? But the lesson here, if we are to take lesson from what we have been studying, marriage exists for a purpose greater than the couples themselves. Healthy marriages, and let me explain that, healthy marriages produce emotionally stable children. These children build strong families. These families, right, become responsible citizens. They raise healthier communities. Are you seeing it? And then they go on to propagate the same thing. Right? So when you raise a healthy family, you're increasing the chances of more healthy families coming out of this healthy one. Right? So it is beyond personal happiness. It's actually a societal institution that helps to shape future generations. That's what marriage is. Unfortunately, a lot of people think marriage only as what I call the WIIFM syndrome. What is in it for me? People who think like that cannot create anything that goes beyond them. Let me move on for time's sake. The second point there is that successful marriages will require delayed gratification. Oh, of course, I'm a counselor and therapist. One of the biggest frustrations I hear from people, especially newly married, just now, you just married. Just now, you're arguing, you're complaining that your husband is not behaving the way you want him to behave, or your wife is not behaving the way you want her to behave. Meanwhile, this person spent 25 years of their lives being different from you in every way. And now you people have just met, and in 2 weeks, you want to convert them to your picture of what you think a husband or a wife should be. Can't you see that it's frustrating, right? There's something called delayed gratification. There's something called, some people just want to live their dreams at once, No, but you have to pay, you have to put in the work. You have to learn each other. You have to, at some point, set certain things aside, so that you can gain the necessary mastery you need before you begin to enjoy those things, right? But if you get married and all you're thinking of is all the enjoyment, all the nice things, no problem. If you can afford it, go ahead. But very soon you may get broke if you don't have the finances to support that kind of a lifestyle, and then you're faced with reality, right? These people were willing to delay gratification, and that is a very valuable requirement for marriage. The third point is that the value of marriage justifies the investment required. Do you know, and I strongly posit that one of the reasons people don't put in the work is because they don't yet understand that this thing called marriage is beyond myself and my wife. It's beyond me, my wife, my children. It can actually have great impact in the world. For goodness sake, somebody like Adolf Hitler came through a family. What if he was raised in a way that made him value human lives? There wouldn't be millions of people dead during the Holocaust, right? What if he was raised in a way that made him value human life? I'm just saying that it's beyond you and having a nice time and a nice family. Society will either thank you or regret that you came by. All right. Marriage involves multiple life skills, not just love. I mean, love. See, the best at that thing called love. I put it in parentheses because many times what people call love is feelings, is emotions, all of that. But true love is bigger than all of that, right? That can only attract you to this person. It does not have what it takes to keep you successful in that marriage. You require several other skills. Communication is a skill. You need to learn it. Emotional intelligence is a skill. You need to learn it. And these are part of the courses that I know they offer here at SECA, right? Emotional intelligence and mastery, right? Financial management is a skill. You need to learn it. Parenting is a big deal. Some marriages were very beautiful until the children came by and they discovered we're not ready for this. We don't even know what to do here, right? Spirituality is a big deal. Conflict resolution is a big deal. These are skills you need to learn. Teamwork, all of these things, you need to learn it. If not, if you think it's just your fine body and your fat wallet that you bring into marriage and you have a beautiful time, no. You will see what is waiting past you. Why? Because there are several other skills that you need to put in place. The fifth point says marriage will experience storms. If there's anybody who just imagines fantasies and all of those things that, from when I get married, all my issues are gone. I mean, those who are married here can tell you that, man, you're on a long thing. It doesn't work that way. There will be storms. There must be storms. And that was why we spoke about all of those skills that you require. Conflict management is a big deal. So long as two of you are two different people, you would argue, you would have misunderstandings. And if you don't handle it well, it could degenerate to all kinds of terrible things, right? So you need to build all of those skills. And it's better you build them before you get in. Take note, all of these projects that were going on, they were not looking for somebody say, I want to be an engineer. They say, yeah, come and help us build. No, you have to have been trained. You need to be professionals already, all right? So you see that people spend time learning all of these other things, but nobody really, few people really are intentional enough to put in the time to learn the thing called marriage. Part of the reasons, again, is because they don't know that it's that deep. Somebody's wondering, it's not that deep. Yes, it's that deep. All right. So the last point I'll share here so I can move on is that marriage should be built with legacy thinking. What happens beyond you and your wife and your children? What contribution are you going to make to mankind and to humanity and to the earth? All right. Now, the conclusion here is that every one of these engineering wonders required vision, sacrifice, resilience, teamwork, long-term thinking, or unwavering commitment. In the same vein, the very same qualities required to build the world's greatest structures are the qualities required to build great marriages. The difference is that while bridges, walls, tunnels, skyscrapers, canals, and space stations shape civilization externally, healthy marriages and families shape the people, the humans who build civilization. Marriage is that deep, is that important. So now let me ask you this question as I begin to round up. If mankind can go all out to undertake all of these seemingly impossible feats, spending billions and conquering all of these extremely difficult and risky conditions, just because of what they believe in, why aren't some humans willing, or the same people willing to do all of this? Why are humans not willing or able to invest such commitment towards intentionally raising an emotionally healthy home? I hope I've not been speaking too fast, but if we have just 1 minute, if anybody could respond to this, maybe in the chat, or you want to just unmute and say something very quickly, I mean, it will be a good point to just be sure that I'm not here just by myself, right? So, why? Let me give 30 seconds because of time. Why? Why? If people can, if these things matter so much, and look at all the rigors, I took time, I deliberately spent more time emphasizing all of those breakthroughs, right? And what it cost people to achieve. Why are the same people not willing to put in small work? You are 1 month old in marriage, you say, I'm not doing again. Why? They're talking to me somehow. Wow, this person does not respect me. Is it possible that there's something fundamentally missing or wrong in the mindset, in the levels of importance that people are placing on this thing called marriage? Is it possible? Is somebody thinking along with me? Is it possible that perhaps there's a level of importance we don't know? You know, and okay, there's a hand raised. Let's just hear that person very quickly and then we'll move on. Chima, is that okay? Can we take one comment? Okay, let's just take that for time's sake. And then, so Dami, you can please go ahead.
Okay, well done. I think it could be that there was not much thought given to what marriage itself, you know, the demands of marriage.
Yeah.
I mean, it's as if a child wanting to seeing sweet or lollipop and just says, I like it because maybe he has tasted it before, and all you do is he just goes for it. There's no thought about if I take it, what would happen? Forget the fact that it's a child. If I take it, what will happen? If you take too much of it, number one, there might be some reactions. Okay, maybe the child will start purging. Nobody knows. It could be that maybe after one, that child might say, I don't want. It could be a lot of reasons, but I think maybe there was no, like we have these days, two people wanting to get married, all they're thinking about is take me out to eat, in a good place. There's nothing like when I go into this call it business of marriage, what are those things that matters? What are those things? Talking about the things that matters, like when children come, for example, what does it entail? You will talk about going to school, you talk about making money, you talk about feeding them. You're not thinking about that. You're just thinking about the you know immediate, nice things, quote unquote. And maybe that is just the reason. If the two can take a bit of time to sit and think more about what, assuming we're in it, and this comes up, this comes up. You took us through a lot of pictures. You took time to explain. These two can also take a look at some marriages, those that are good, those that are not good, and maybe try to sit down and draw lessons from them. Maybe that can help them. My thoughts. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you so much for sharing. Thank you so much. I wish we had more time to take a few more persons, but please permit me to just move ahead so that any other interaction may happen in the Q&A, if we have time for that. All right. So thank you very much, Olorun Damilo, for your brilliant submission. All right. So it's worth considering. It's
Sorry,
worth thinking about.
Olorun Damilola. Thank you.
Okay, I didn't see the la at the end. Sorry, Olorun Damilo. Okay. Thank you very much. Yeah. So think about this, like what she has said. Many people don't know that this thing called marriage is beyond just how I feel, how I want to feel. They don't know that there's going to be a lifetime impact by virtue of the kind of contributions they're making to the world through their seed, through the quality of children and humans coming out of them. All right. Many people don't know that. All right. And because people don't think of the levels of family that deeply, they think it just ends with us here. Right? Let me move on for time's sake. So I have a quote here. I said, marriage is humanity's greatest construction project, and family is society's most delicate potential. Why? Because it could swing either way. It could swing towards the good of society. It could swing towards the destruction of society. Every engineer, scientist, doctor, president, artist, soldier, every person, including terrorists, came from a family. So family is the factory that really produces the civilization. But if people don't know and begin to accord that level of importance to this very foundational system, how would people raise more intentional families? And if you're someone who is not yet married, this is a good place where you begin to tell yourself that when I'm looking for life partner, it's not just if you're a guy now, you're not just thinking of I like your hips, your tips, your lips and your fingertips. Yeah, that's just what you're thinking of. You're thinking of what contribution am I going to make in this world, and who is that person that can support me to make this contribution. If you're a woman, you're not just thinking of whether he's rich or not. You're thinking, what kind of human is this person? What kind of father would he become? What kind of children can he raise? So I said here that, again, marriage is not just about a couple's personal goals. It's beyond companionship. It is mission. But then how do you achieve the mission if you don't even know about it? All right. I'm already about to close. Society spends enormous resources trying to repair what healthy families could have often prevented. And that is the truth. What we are doing in the church, in the health centers, in the, what do you call this, remand homes, prisons, everything that has to do with behavior modification, all of that is simply what could have been prevented if the family was doing what needed to be done. So things like crime, addiction, school failure, mental health challenges, poverty, violence, all of these things could have been solved if the family did what it needed to do. I have a big question for you, and it says, what will future generations benefit because of your marriage? So instead of just thinking, will this marriage make me happy? Also ask yourself, what kind of children will come out of this home? What values will my grandchildren inherit? What contribution will our family make to society? Will our home become a bridge or a barrier for future generations? And I'm talking legacy thinking here. All right. So once more, as I end the session, look at all of these amazing pictures. Great stuff. All of these things required vision, sacrifice, planning, delayed gratification, and all of these things. Humanity is celebrating all of this, but there's one project that is even more valuable. That one is not built with cement and steel. It's built with love. It's built with character. It's built with forgiveness. It's built with discipline. It's built with intentionality. And that is marriage. That is what gives birth to a thriving society. The greatest cause is never just us. It is those who will stand because we chose to build very well. Remember that my topic is a cause greater than us. You can apply this to marriage as well as you can apply this to several other areas of your life, even your business. All right, but especially marriage right now. What are you building? What are you building? You want to think about it. When your time is done and gone, what will the earth say about you? What will the world say about you? Will it just be a statistic? Will people be grateful that you passed by? Or worse off, will this world even regret the day such a name was born into this world? What are you building? What are you building? You want to think about that. Bridges will connect places, canals will connect oceans, tunnels will connect different people, right? But a healthy marriage will connect generations, and those generations will build civilizations. I hope this has been a good use of your time. I hope have got somebody thinking and being intentional towards the next phase of your life. Even if you're already married, it's never too late to start thinking legacy, 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 legacy. What happens beyond us? And with these few points of mine, I would submit to you that this is the end of my conversation. If there are any questions, it might be a good time to take it. Thank you so much for listening, and thank you for your time. God bless you.
Thank you so much, Coach. Thank you so much. I think Coach Chiemezie deserves the best of our emojis. Where are the emojis? He deserves them. Powerful session. Absolutely profound. He touched on it, And for us who hasn't married, this is a good session you should be in because it helps you to ask yourself, so what would it look like when I come in? What will it look like when I come in? Will it be all rosy? Will it be all touchy? Will it be, what if the gifts don't come the way they used to? What if we stay a month and there's no gift coming? Am I going to pack my bags and say, no, I'm not doing again. I'm not doing again. You've not bought gift for me. Blah, 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 blah. You see? What if the money doesn't come in the way it used to? What happens? What if the way we manage the finance changes? A whole lot of conversation, In fact, even down to childbearing, that is also another conversation. Sometimes I think people, that's my take, Coach. Sometimes I think people, we don't have the important conversations we should have when we are going out, when we're seeing each other, when we are loving on each other. We don't have the important conversation. Conversations like, so tell me, what do you think about pregnancy? We don't have that conversation because we believe that, all ladies want to get pregnant. It's not true. There are ladies that don't want to get pregnant. They cannot imagine it. That imagination scares them that they are pregnant. And if it's not discussed and they go and say, I do, and the guy now wants pregnancy, Wahala will now start.
Yeah.
So those are crucial conversations. There are some that say, this pregnancy one, I'm okay. Now the guy now says, I want to have multitude. Conversations now coming. And deep stuff. Maybe for us, for people here, sir, what would be those crucial conversations that you will recommend dating couples, newly married couples should have early? What are some of those crucial conversations that they should have, sir, in your own assessment?
Okay, thank you very much. Very pertinent question. So before you're even discussing that with your partner, I think there are conversations you want to have with yourself. And it's a question of, where am I going? What is my life about? What contribution do I want to make into this world? Who am I? That self-awareness, that level of clarity. What are my strengths? What are my values? What do I believe? What am I capable of producing? What am I not capable of doing? What will I do or not do even at gunpoint, right? Because it's on the strength of your awareness and your principles that you can both evaluate and accept a person you believe will be right for you. Right? Yes. So it starts with the conversations with yourself. And then when you meet that prospect, you also check out the same conversations with them. You want to know what kind of persons they are, what makes them tick, what's cooking in their minds, right? What do they think about legacy? What do they think about giving back? What do they think about life? What do they think about success? What do they think about family? All right. There are people who don't have any big deal thinking about family. I mean, what's family? Just a group of what's this adjective now? You know, just good readers, people you cannot do without. So you just manage them and just, that's what some people think family is, right? So you want to know, what do they think about family? What do they think? What's their orientation of life? What's their orientation of success? Because these are the things you guys are going to be dealing with. What's their orientation of conflict management? Right? What's their orientation of love? Is love just how I feel, or is love a commitment? Right? So these are very fundamental conversations. And of course, I always like to add the legacy part. Beyond us, what would generations remember us for? When our time is gone, right? What will people say about us? Are we going to have left positive impact in somebody else? Are we going to have set up something structural, something that would outlive us, like physically, beyond just impact and values, right? These are conversations worth contemplating. And the truth is, every human has the potential to make a positive contribution to the world. Every human being has that potential, right? It's a matter of awareness and openness to it. So let me just stop there. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. I don't know if you have any question for him. Do you have any question?
I've seen a
Okay.
comment.
All right. Go ahead, Coach
Okay.
Abdurrahim. Go ahead, sir.
Well, thank you very much for that fantastic presentation. The topic you chose is something that is very pertinent, and I also say that it's something that is of serious concern, especially in today's society. A lot of people have made a lot of mistakes in the past. Some have challenges with their marriages. Some have decided not to even get into marriages in the first instance because of the burden they foresee going into marriage. But in as much as we have a lot of presentations going on and we have a lot of coaches, I come from a different perspective. And probably everybody knows me for that. It's already become commonplace. Right. This is it, right? What is the major cause of broken marriages in the first instance? Okay, and that's where I like to reverse engineer things from. The major causes of marriages going to bits basically comes down to two basic things, or three things, or two basic things, right? Money and sex. Okay. And when it comes down to these basic things, these are also the things that we don't talk about when they want to get married. It's a discussion that we don't discuss. So if you're talking about when you're talking about getting to know each other, I don't talk about money. How do you spend money? Do you like to save money? What are your spending habits? These are my spending habits. I don't like to gamble. I like to hoard. I like to give out money. I don't like to keep money. That hard money conversation should come into the picture. Sex. I love to have sex. I want a quickie. I like to make love. I would like to be myself. I don't like wearing clothes in the house when I move around. What are the conversations in those regards? Yet we beat around the bush and we tiptoe. Then when the problem happens, nobody can still face the question. Things have changed compared to how it was back in the days where the generations have gone past. Today, the Gen Zs, Gen Alphas, they get into a relationship without saying a word. That's how bad it has gotten. They get into a relationship without saying a word. They have sex the first time you are meeting them, and you'll be wondering what is going on in this world. They would have chatted Snapchat, IG, and everything. When they just meet, is an appointment. And I've been wondering why these marriages are failing. And yet, you not talk about the quality of the children. Is it boys that are getting married or girls that are getting married? Or where are the men and where are the women in this relationship? Because we hide and we stand away from the core basic things that actually causes this problem. So I like to say that, what are your views and how do you infuse these tough discussions for these young people getting into marriage? right? Because that's something I was hoping to see, and we have not seen it. So if we don't talk, if we don't step on these major things, then what is it really? Are we just going to give the textbook answers to everybody? Or we face the hard questions and say, okay, this is what the challenge is. Are you ready? So people are not sexually compatible. Some don't even like it in the first instance. Some, they love it more than their life. So how have they got into that discussion? What are their money habits? Do they spend money? Are they savers? Are they builders? Have we spoken in that regard? And then the last part, yes, health, we touch on the basic things. But truth is this, we say we can die for our families. But in all honesty, can you live for your family? Right? Thank you. That's my contribution. And your insights will be really nice.
Spot on. Spot
Um,
on.
s-
Yeah.
coach, just before you respond, while Coach Abdurrahim was mentioning money conversations, I remembered a conversation I had many years. We're just having this conversation, and the lady was so excited about who she was dating and the plans, and that in months he's already doing this, he's doing that, he's doing this, he's doing that. And then I asked her a question: is he living alone? And then he said, not yet. I said, what do you mean by not yet? He said, he's not, but he's planning. I said, good. And then I asked another question. Have you had conversation as to how you will renew the rent in the next 3 years? He hasn't moved in, he's planning, but have you had that conversation with him as to how he will renew the rent in the next 3 years? And then the silence came in. So you found out that the excitement is there. We are going into a new home. But we don't have clarity as to when we come into that new home, the sustainability now becomes another issue. Do you think, Coach, that also is a conversation, the sustainability
Of
part,
course.
post saying I do and getting that sustainability part, where does it
Yeah.
come in, sir?
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you, Coach Abdurrahim. Okay, it's like he's not here. Abdurrahim.
He is.
Okay, yeah, I've seen him. Yeah, thank you so much for that input. In fact, yours was not even more of a question as it is a very valid contribution. Those two conversations are a must-have. And yes, I support that. So the thing is, in this age where there are a lot of us who practice as premarital coaches, right? One of the fundamental things I tell people is from the moment you are contemplating, I want to marry this person or not, both of you just seek learning, right? It's not a guarantee that you must marry yourselves yet, but going through some of those sessions would help reveal all of these very critical conversations. Because the truth is, one of the reasons people don't talk about these things is they don't even know how to navigate the conversation. Do you know that? There are people who don't know how to have these conversations. They don't know what to say. It doesn't come to mind in that instance. Just the same way sometimes when a guy wants to check a girl, he doesn't even know what to say. You go and rehearse, you go and get high first, so that they'll lose inhibitions just to check, right? But people like Chima now, that is a very smooth talker, he knows exactly what to say. Not just kidding. Right. So yes, those conversations must be had. And what we advise is that seek a coach or a counselor who can guide you, can moderate some of those conversations. Yeah. But they must be had. Time will fail me to really get into all of that. Finances, you must talk about it. You must, sex, you must talk about it. What do you think you'll be doing in your marriage if you can't talk about intimacy? Right? And like you rightly said, these two things are very foundational in crisis in homes, right? So yes, there must be. I don't know if I'm answering. Like I said, yours was even more of a contribution than a question. Yes, it must be spoken about, but the only thing I'm adding to it is that if you are stuck, get resources, go online, read, seek marriage coaching services, so that we can guide you through these conversations. And let me tell you another thing. Some people even really don't know. Some people really don't know until they are inside. We see that time and time again. Somebody says, me, I want to have sex every day, I see the hot. Don't worry. You enter inside and life is happening to you. And 1 month, you are not even in the mood and you're shocked. People start reaching out to me saying, "Is something wrong with me? Something wrong with me?" And then we have to do a lot of digging and psychoanalysis to find out what the problem is, right? So, with all of the conversation, it is important you talk about sex, talk about money. There's a lot. I have materials on actual topics to explore in money and in sex, but time will fail us to get into all of those, right? Who should earn? Should both of us earn? How should we save? When should you do you understand? What kind of account should we operate? Do you believe in credit? Do you believe in investment? Do you believe in business? What happens if both of us are jobless? What can you do? What is the barest minimum legally you can do to earn money? Can you do anything for this family? Can you sell akara on the street if it comes to that? Can you be a driver with all your certificates? If that is all, what is the worst? What if we don't have children in the next 5 years? Do you understand? Very critical things. What if everything starts well, but midway there is one massive change that impacts on us? What if one of us gets transferred to another country, another state, and is telling on the marriage, we used to be very sexually active, now we can't even have sex in 2 months? Real stuff. So these conversations must be had. Thank you, Abdul Rahim, for taking us, to this angle I almost missed, where I was just trying to run fast. And then to speak to Chiemeze's question also. Yes, the practicality of that question where you ask them, can we renew rent? So again, under financial things to talk about when discussing money, one of the things we ask is, can you pay your rent? Can you pay it? And if you're out of work for the next 6 months, can you survive? Very fundamental, right? So those are practical, real key things that people need to look at, because if you're just looking up and above, oh, your hair is fine, oh, the way you smile, wait till when you get into the house, you will wake up one morning and there's no food to eat. That fine face now will look like a demon in front of you, because the person now will be adding their stress, right? And it just becomes irritable. Okay, so I don't know if I remember the core of your question, but yes, that dimension of conversations must be had. Like I said, these things are full master classes on their own. Money talk is a full master class. Sex talk is a full master class. So time will fail us to really rush through it now, but there are different dynamics to it. Even first, to even understand the person's orientation towards money. Do you know that's a big deal? Do you know that some people who, till date, in this generation that we are now, there are some people who see a young girl driving a flashy car, and the first thing they'll say is, na Alhaji, they give her money. They don't know that people like Amanda are making money on social media. They don't know that, right? So that orientation, sometimes it's even what you need to even deal with before you are moving on. There are people who don't think. For example, I've heard people who, especially in religious settings, I've heard people say things like sex is sinful, even for couple, because they grew up in certain religious settings that told them that, hey, this thing you can't even think about. Then you are married now, it's time to do. You are saying, close your eyes now. How can you be looking at my naked body? Real stuff, right? So the psychology of money, the psychology of sex is one of the fundamental things we even deal with before we're talking about actual practices. Please permit me to stop here for now, but there's a lot more we can say.
Thank you so much. So how can we reach you?
Oh,
I
yes.
see the comment sections. Wonderful, wonderful section. How can we reach you? How can we reach you?
Okay. I'll drop my number on and then my Instagram handle. For now, Instagram is the social media I am most active on and WhatsApp. But I'm taking lessons from Amanda and working around structures to be more present on other platforms, right? But for now, Instagram, and on Instagram, I'm at Coach Chiemezie. I don't know if links can be clicked here. Let me just drop the link. So those are the two major places to find me, on WhatsApp and on Instagram. So the reason I also I'm actually going through a sort of what you want to call a rebranding process. So I'm not sharing any website yet or any much more information, because soon I'll be redirecting people to a particular platform. Okay, let me just put it out there. I'm working on something big, especially for those who are not yet married. It's a matchmaking solution. And trust me, it's going to be something that we have not seen yet. It's going to be beautiful. I don't want to let all the cat out of the bag, but just be patient enough. By August, we'll be live, and by God's grace,
I'm
we'll share a lot
smiling
more.
already. I'm
You'd
blushing
have been
already.
married by then. That's good. All right. So I'm doing a whole lot of work around my services and all that, and redefining certain things. So later I would have, a more. That's why when you asked me for profile, I just said, leave me Chiemezie Ofodum is my name. Let's work with that one. So please bear with me. But be on the lookout. Come August, something fantastic. And if it's okay on the platform, I can even share, because I have a survey going on right now. I can share the survey on the platform so that people can, especially singles, can take that survey. All right. That will be all for now. So you can reach me on WhatsApp and on Instagram. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. Such a fantastic session. You would agree with me, ladies and gentlemen, that today has just been on strategy. That has just been the core of what we discussed today. Strategy. Whether it is strategy for love. You see, that morning conversation came back again. There is a strategy for love, a strategy for your business, a strategy for your online presence, a strategy for your strategy. So looking at the next 6 months, you should be asking yourself, what will be my strategy? This business I'm doing, what will be the strategy going forward? Strategy, strategy, strategy. Thank you so much, sir. It has been a wonderful day, everyone.
Thank you.
We've had 3 amazing speakers and they have delivered great value to us. We will come back next month, the last Saturday, for another edition of the Pan-African webinar. And we'll have another wonderful conversation. You will agree with me that every edition of the Pan-African webinar has been a fantastic learning experience. And we started this sometime middle of 2023. So you can understand how far we've come with the Pan-African webinar. Loads of content, rich insights, profound, exceptional ideas, perspectives that move you forward. We have shared so far and we will continue to share. Every speaker of the Pan-African webinar is a member of the Octopus Speakers Pool. So everyone you saw today speaking is a member of the Octopus Speakers Pool. Just in case you are not a part of the Octopus Speakers Pool, I think you are missing a lot. Reach out to Seka Africa. Let's get you onboarded. We can give you a discount to join. The fee is lifetime. The opportunities are endless. The amazing connections, you can't even mention it. And you can just see that on that platform, you virtually have access to every profession on earth. As long as that individual is in Nigeria, or that individual is in the world, you get it. We have members spread across the world. We have members from the Bahamas. We have members from Senegal. We have members from the UK. So it is not just it's not a Nigerian membership stuff. It is global, from different tribes, different races, different countries, different ethnicity. All we are doing is to ensure that we have opportunities move around, we have experiences move around, we have insights move around, we have connections move around, and you cannot miss the Octopus Speakers Pool. You have a window today to get into the platform, join our community, and start enjoying amazing benefits. For everyone wondering what Seka Africa is, we are a pan-African management consulting and human development organization. We are specifically focused on strategy for your business, for your organization, and all that you do. Processes. We are focused on your behavior in the areas of behavioral change. This is where you see coaching coming. This is where you see therapy coming and all the other interventions we do in that space. Of course, we are heavily interested in coaching and we play actively in that sector. Life coaching, business coaching, executive coaching, keynote speaking, public speaking, we are heavily in that and we are doing very well with that. You can reach us at www.secaafrica.com or you can send an email at services@secaafrica.com or you can contact us via DM or our WhatsApp channel. No matter where you are, ensure that you are part of what we are doing at Seca Africa. For us, it's about giving. We're a giving brand. We give lavishly. We do not hoard. We do not withhold. We give. We give our time. We give our resources. We give our energy. We give our care. We go all out the best way we can to ensure that you become better and that all that you do prosper. Because we always say that at SECA, we are very close to you. We are not distant, we are very close to you. We see you again next month, July, the last Saturday for another edition of the Pan-African webinar. We will be bringing amazing speakers, fantastic speakers. You just cannot miss it. Let me just give you a clue. One of the speakers for next month is an expert in grants. She has done grants, this grant back to back, and she has secured lots of grants in millions of dollars. So this is why you should not miss next month. So we're bringing her with other speakers. She will specifically drill us as to how this grant thing works. She's been in the NGO space at the international level, and she's been doing back to back amazingly in that regard. So don't miss next month. And of course, 2 other speakers will join her next month. So keep a date next month. Remember, life coaching is August. Join the Gen Z Billionaires Club, assuming you are still a Gen Z. I'm not sure anybody here is Gen Z. Even Amanda self is not Gen Z. So she can pay 500K and join that, the bigger community. So if you have a Gen Z, encourage him, pay for the person, pay for her to join the Gen Z investment platform. It's 25K and they are learning a lot about investment and they are actively participating and buying shares, learn about investment, deals they should get into at an early stage. For the bigger community, they are learning about, they are connecting, they are actively trading, they are looking at all the investment vehicles. All we just want to do is to make sure that you have more money in your pocket and that our members are economically strong and that we do great things beyond Nigeria. From me over here in Abuja, thank you very much. I'm signing out and we will see you next month. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful day.